Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Konoha. I have all-knowing and all-powerful shop at the Naruto world. Chapter 61. On the second floor of the casino. A group of people dressed in fancy clothes, who were obviously upper-class people, were sitting around a gambling table, with a thick stack of chips in front of them. Everyone had an excited, nervous, or calm expression on their faces, and their eyes were fixed on the card game in front of them, as if they wanted to see through the thin cards to see through the opponent's mind. The whole scene was filled with a tense and exciting atmosphere, which made people's heartbeats accelerate. Suddenly, a loud noise came from downstairs, breaking the original tranquility of the second floor. A man with a cigar in his mouth and a big back hair was originally immersed in his own thoughts, but was disturbed by the discordant sound at this moment. He frowned unhappily and said to a strong man in a suit beside him, "Go and see what happened." The strong man in the suit immediately nodded respectfully and left the second floor. Downstairs, after understanding what happened, the strong man in the suit looked at the group of gamblers who were making trouble with a bad expression. He said coldly, "We don't even look down on you guys. If you dare to make trouble again, don't blame us for being rude." Hearing this, the gamblers who were originally angry didn't dare to speak for a moment. The man in the suit was full of doubts and curiosity. Who was so bored that he ran to such a place to fry fish? When he saw who it was, he widened his eyes in disbelief and it took him a long time to come back to his senses. Quote, Isn't this the legendary, fat sheep, in the gambling world? However, when his eyes fell on the pile of banknotes in front of Tsunade, he couldn't help but take a breath of cold air, and his heart was even more shocked. I didn't expect this, fat sheep, to win so much money. No wonder the group of people reacted so strongly. At this time, the man in the suit rolled his eyes, and his face was immediately filled with a flattering smile. "Tsunade-sama, you see, this floor is too ordinary and not challenging. How about we move to the private room on the second floor to play a few games? There are many masters there, and you will definitely have a great time." Quote. Hearing this, Tsunade was quite surprised. You know, she has lost no less than 7 or 8 million here, and can be said to be a frequent visitor to this casino, but she has never heard of the second floor here. She nodded, "That's what I meant." As she said, she was about to follow. Just then, Shizune suddenly grabbed Tsunade's clothes. "Tsunade-sama, we have won so much, let's go." Shizune was afraid that Tsunade would lose all the money she had won with great difficulty. "Don't worry, Shizune, I look so strong." Tsunade patted her chest and promised. Seeing this, Shizune nodded and followed silently. Second floor. The group of people were a little surprised when they saw the man in a suit bringing a woman up. They didn't know Tsunade. "Do you want to play a few games?" the man with the slicked back hair said with a smile after hearing the explanation of the man in the suit. "The minimum stakes here are 1 million. Can she afford it?" a blue-haired young man said disdainfully while playing with the chips in his hand. Hearing this, Tsunade took out the money downstairs with dissatisfaction and handed it to the dealer beside him. "Please change it into chips for me." Tsunade won a total of 1.2 million downstairs, almost winning all the money of all the gamblers downstairs. "I am dying of laughter. I thought there was a lot of money, but it turned out to be just over 1 million. Hearing this, everyone laughed. Tsunade looked at them with an unhappy expression. She took off her coat and handed it to Shizune. "Shizune, go find a tailor shop and embroider a word of God on the back." As she said this, Tsunade took out a stack of money from her chest and handed it to Shizune. Shizune nodded, said nothing, took the money and left with the coat. "Did you hear that? God of gamblers, it really made me die of laughter." Quote. That's right, she didn't think that she could cheat us just because she won some money from the lower class, did she? Quote. Secretly, the ninjas hired to protect this group of people widened their eyes in fear after seeing Tsunade. This was Tsunade, one of the 3 ninjas of Konoha. They all prayed silently in their hearts, hoping that their employer would say less. If they really annoyed Tsunade, they couldn't beat her. Tsunade sneered, "I hope you can still laugh after that." The dealer began to shake the dice, and everyone was quiet and listened carefully. Tsunade frowned. She keenly heard that the sound of the dice was wrong, but she didn't say anything. "Pa." The dealer put the dice on the table. As expected, in the next few games, Tsunade kept winning, while others had some wins and some losses. "Let's not play dice, this is too simple, let's play poker," said the blue-haired young man. There was no way. He lost the most in these few games. Ali have already lost more than 10 million. "Whatever you want." Tsunade spread her hands indifferently. "You guys play, I won't play," the man with the slicked back hair said with a smile. Tsunade did not speak when she saw this. She had long seen that there was something wrong with the man with the slicked back hair. He must have tampered with the dice. After the man with the slicked back hair stood up, the dealer began to deal the cards. The blue-haired young man was very excited after seeing the cards in his hand, all in. With this roar, the blue-haired young man did not hesitate to push down the pile of chips in front of him, making a crisp and loud crash. Tsunade silently glanced at the cards in her hand, put them back on the table, lightly tapped the back of the cards with her fingers, and then pushed down the chips in front of her. "I'm all in too." The remaining few people saw the two people's crazy behavior and immediately stood up. With their gambling method, who can afford it? "You guys play, my stomach hurts a bit. My grandma is about to give birth to my father, I have to go back to see her." "What, your father is about to be born? I'll go see him too." "Open the cards," the blue-haired young man said confidently, and then showed his cards. He was confident that he would definitely win, and the other party had only a 1% chance of winning. Tsunade smiled slightly after seeing his cards. "Sorry, I won." Then he showed his cards. When everyone saw Tsunade's cards, their pupils shrank. The gambling skills of the people present were all at the pyramid level, but they didn't see how Tsunade did it. The man with his hair back murmured, "Her gambling skills are better than mine." "How is this possible?" The blue-haired young man widened his eyes and said in disbelief. He had been staring at Tsunade's movements, and the other party couldn't do anything under his nose. "Why is this happening?" the blue-haired young man said in despair. At this moment, Shizune came back with a coat in her arms. She handed the coat to Tsunade. "Tsunade-sama, how is it, did you win?" Tsunade took the coat and put it on, of course. As she said that, she put away the chips on the table. "How did you do it?" "Want to learn? I'll teach you." "Really?" the young man said excitedly. "Fake." As she said that, Tsunade took Shizune away. Several people silently watched Tsunade's back as she left. At this moment, the words, "God of Gamblers," on her back were particularly conspicuous. They knew in their hearts that Tsunade's gambling skills were far superior to theirs. Several people murmured, "It seems that this time we have hit a wall." After Tsunade left, the blue-haired young man realized that he had been fooled, and angrily shouted to the dark, "Help me kill her, I will give you 30 million. The Jonin hired by the blue-haired young man. The Land of Fire. Extra, extra, a shocking event has happened. The highly respected and admired third Hokage of Konoha village has stepped down because of the huge amount of corruption. The new Hokage is." A group of white Zetsu were seen waving newspapers with the scent of ink in their hands, shouting at the top of their lungs on the streets of the Land of Fire. The sudden appearance of the white Zetsu did not cause panic among the residents. After all, they had long been accustomed to the sudden appearance of the white Zetsu. Because, since a few days ago, this group of white Zetsu would appear in the streets every morning to sell various news and information. The newspapers sold by white Zetsu were densely packed with all kinds of the most popular and eye-catching news and information from various countries in the ninja world. These news are not only authentic and reliable, without any false information, but also first-hand information collected by the white Zetsu in various places. In this newspaper, many major events that have just happened recently and those jaw-dropping, melons, are also recorded in detail. You know, eating melons is human nature. For this reason, since its publication, this newspaper of white Zetsu has swept the entire ninja world like a whirlwind, and has been sincerely loved and sought after by the majority of ninja residents. Today's newspaper is interesting, give me a copy. A middle-aged man with a big belly shouted. "Okay, boss." Hearing the shout, one of the white Zetsu hurriedly trotted over, took out a newspaper from his arms and handed it to the other party. After the middle-aged man took the newspaper, he took out a tael of silver and threw it to white Zetsu. "I wish the boss a prosperous business." Before he finished speaking, he heard another shout from a distance, "Hey! Give me a newspaper over here. I'm coming, I'm coming. Baizetsu responded and ran over quickly. What? The old man from the third Hokage stepped down. Who is the new Hokage? Give me one too. Not long after, all the newspapers in Baizetsu's hands were sold out. Such things happened everywhere in the ninja world. The middle-aged man unfolded the newspaper curiously, and what caught his eye were a few eye-catching words: advertisement space for rent. Seeing this, the middle-aged man's mouth twitched, and he continued to read. The ninja mercenary organization, Akatsuki, is expanding to the entire ninja world. The organization only recruits strong members, weak ones are not allowed. The specific salary will be discussed in person. The interview location is Yushi Village, and the interviewer is Kakuzu. Akatsuki. I haven't heard of it. It seems that they rented advertising space with money. Who knows what kind of idiot organization. He continued to read. Yesterday, the vault of the Rock Village in the Land of Earth was robbed by an unknown gang. The loss was huge, and the third Tsuchikage was killed. Nogi decided to organize a meeting of the 5 cages and unite the villages to catch the murderer. Quote. This thief in the ninja world is indeed powerful. He has offended all 5 major countries. If he is caught, he will be in big trouble. After a long time, he finally saw the news he wanted to see. The third-generation Hokage of Konoha village, Sarutobi Hiruzen, abused his power and levied heavy taxes during his tenure, and was eventually forced to step down. The 5th-generation Hokage is temporarily appointed as Senju Tsunade, but since Tsunade herself is now missing, Shimura Danzo, one of Konoha's consultants, will temporarily serve as the acting Hokage. Quote. Tsunade is not in the village. Where did she go? A casino in the Land of Fire. All in. Tsunade pushed all the chips in front of her and said in a heroic tone. Everyone present was shocked to see Tsunade's confident look. You know, sitting opposite Tsunade is the new generation of gambling god who has become famous in the Land of Fire, Hikawa Teppen. This legendary figure has amazing gambling skills. I didn't expect Tsunade to be so confident in betting all in when facing such a figure. Hikawa Teppen looked at Tsunade with a sullen face and said in a deep voice, Miss Tsunade, the cards haven't been dealt yet, are you so confident that you can beat me? Tsunade picked up a cigar leisurely and said with a smile, of course, I guarantee to win. As he said that, he put the cigar in his mouth and held it. This cigar is not for smoking, but for showing off. Yesterday, she saw the man with a slicked back hair holding a cigar in his mouth in the casino, and he looked very impressive, so she also got one, which was indeed quite impressive. Seeing Tsunade so confident, Hikawa Teppen was furious. He snorted coldly. Since Miss Tsunade is so confident, why not add a little more chips? Whoever loses will keep his right hand. They are playing such a big game. You know, the right hand is very important to a gambler. Losing the right hand means that you can no longer gamble in this life. Everyone subconsciously looking at Tsunade, I wonder if she will agree. Hearing this, Tsunade spread her hands. If you want to play, I'll play with you. After Tsunade finished speaking, everyone burst into exclamations again. They didn't expect Tsunade to really agree, and for a moment everyone began to guess who the final winner would be. After the dealer dealt the cards, Hikawa Teppen was relieved when he saw his cards. He smiled and said, Miss Tsunade, it seems that I won. As he said that, he confidently revealed his bottom card. Straight flush. It seems that Hikawa Teppen has won. Hearing the exclamations of the people around him, Hikawa Teppen's mouth curled up. Miss Tsunade, do you do it yourself or do you need someone to help you? Tsunade smiled and said, I'd better leave this sentence to you. Hearing this, Hikawa Teppen and the people around him were stunned. You know, Hikawa Teppen's cards are very big. There is no bigger card than him except the leopard. But why is Tsunade still so confident? Could it be that her card is a leopard? Thinking of this, everyone hurriedly shook their heads and threw away the unrealistic ideas in their minds. What a joke, a leopard requires 3 identical cards, and the probability of this is very low. Miss Tsunade, don't argue anymore. Unless you are a leopard, you will lose. Hikawa Teban said with a smile. Sorry, I really am a leopard. As she said that, Tsunade turned over the cards, which turned out to be 3 aces. It's really a leopard. I didn't expect Hikawa Teppen to really lose. Hikawa Teppen stood up suddenly, looking at the 3 A's in disbelief. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. He suddenly pointed at Tsunade angrily. You are definitely cheating. Tsunade hadn't spoken before hearing what Hikawa Teppen said. The dealer spoke first. Mr. Hikawa Teppen, we are the largest casino in the Fire Country, are you questioning our professionalism? Hikawa Teppen subconsciously shrank his neck. Although he was a new gambling god, the power behind this casino was something he couldn't afford to offend. Chop off Mr. Hikawa's right hand, the dealer said coldly. Hearing this, several strong men pressed Hikawa Teppen on the table, ignoring his pleas for mercy, and one of them took out the machete behind him and was about to chop his right hand. Wait, Tsunade suddenly shouted. Hearing the sound, the man stopped what he was doing and looked at Tsunade curiously. Hikawa Gangban was delighted, thinking that Tsunade was going to let him go, and was about to thank her, but when he heard Tsunade's next words, he was petrified on the spot. Wait until I leave before you chop. Tsunade stood up quickly. Shizune, let's go. Before she finished speaking, Tsunade hurriedly pulled Shizune out of the casino. Eastern part of the Land of Fire. Oh my, what a headache. The ninja world is so big, who knows where Tsunade is hiding. Jiraiya leaned against a big tree with a worried look on his face, shaking his head and sighing. 2 days have passed since he left Konoha village and went to the Land of Fire to look for Tsunade. During these 2 days, Jiraiya didn't know how many places he had run to, but he still didn't see Tsunade's shadow. Just at this moment, a passerby walked by him, and Jiraiya hurriedly asked, Excuse me, have you seen a woman with yellow hair? Hearing this, the passerby stopped and asked curiously, Are there any other features? Ah, her breasts are big. Jiraiya replied after a little hesitation. How big? The man immediately became interested. Hey, so big. As he said this, Jiraiya stretched out his hand and gestured an exaggerated shape. He, it's really big, but I haven't seen it. After saying that, the man left on his own. Looking at the man's back that was getting farther and farther away, Jiraiya said angrily, If you haven't seen it, then why are you asking around? After saying that, Jiraiya squatted on the ground. Where did Tsunade go? Jiraiya scratched his head and said anxiously. Tsunade has been away from Konoha for many years and has never returned to the village. Now the village urgently needs her to serve as the Hokage to take charge of the overall situation, but she can't even find a shadow. Just when Jiraiya was extremely anxious, a voice suddenly sounded in his ears. Hello, Mr. Jiraiya. I heard that you were looking for Tsunade. I have information about her here, do you want it? Who? The sudden voice made Jiraiya alert instantly. He looked around but didn't find the owner of the voice. Don't play tricks, come out now. Jiraiya said coldly. Mr. Jiraiya, I'm down there. Hearing this, Jiraiya looked down and saw a white head coming out of the ground. Mr. Jiraiya, I'm stuck, can you help me? Oh, got it. Jiraiya grabbed the head of White Zetsu and pulled it out of the ground. Jiraiya looked at the White Zetsu in front of him with a strange look on his face. What is this thing? Why has he never seen it before? White Zetsu shook his head, then took out a business card from somewhere and handed it to Jiraiya. Mr. Jiraiya, I am an employee of Ninja World All-in-One Service Company, Limited, employee number 007. I am happy to serve you. Jiraiya took the business card and murmured, All-in-One Service Company, Limited. Yes, our company has the most advanced intelligence system in the human ninja world. All matters of all sizes in the ninja world are recorded by our dedicated employees. It can be said that our company has all the information you want to know. 007 explained. After hearing 07's explanation, Jiraiya asked suspiciously, Is it true? Mr. Jiraiya, you were caught peeping into the women's bathhouse 3 days ago and were seen everywhere. Jiraiya interrupted 007 quickly, Stop. I believe in the accuracy of your company's intelligence. 007 smiled and said, It must be accurate. A coworker told me that you were looking for Tsunade's whereabouts, so I came here to ask if you need to buy intelligence. Hearing this, Jiraiya said excitedly, Yes. Tell me Tsunade's whereabouts. Okay, Mr. Jiraiya wants to buy a copy of Tsunade's specific location, right? 007 asked. Okay, please pay 100,000 Ryo first, and I'll have someone look for her. Jiraiya did not hesitate and took out 100,000 Ryo and handed it to White Zetsu. Okay, Payment successful. Someone has been sent to look for her now, and I expect to give you a reply within 5 minutes. Jiraiya was a little surprised. He didn't expect it to be so fast. He thought it would take at least half a day, but it only took 5 minutes. As expected of a big company, the efficiency is fast. 5 minutes later, Mr. Jiraiya, we have found Tsunade's exact location. Please pay 100,000 ryo for this service. What? Service fee? Jiraiya exclaimed. 007 rolled his eyes. Of course, I have to pay for running so far to serve you. Jiraiya's mouth twitched, and he took out another 100,000 ryo and handed it to 007. Okay, a special employee will come to lead you later. This service is over. I look forward to meeting you again. With that, 007 went into the ground and disappeared. Jiraiya was confused. Could he have been scammed? He beat his chest and stamped his feet. I didn't expect that I, the Toad Sage Jiraiya, would have such a day. At this moment, another white Zetsu came out of the ground. Hello, I am the one who served you this time. Lead the way, White Zetsu, employee number 0007, happy to serve you. Quote. Jiraiya looked at this White Zetsu. Why did he look more and more like the White Zetsu just now? Why is it still you? Quote. Yes, Mr. Jiraiya, it's still me. But my employee number and position are different from before. As he said, 0007 took out another business card and handed it to Jiraiya. Jiraiya was silent for a while before he said, then you lead the way quickly. Okay, Mr. Jiraiya, but before that, please pay 500,000 taels of guide fee and 100,000 taels of labor fee. Quote. Didn't you pay it just now? Quote. Well, Mr. Jiraiya, what you paid just now was 07's service fee and intelligence fee, and what you have to pay now is 07's guide fee and labor fee. Quote. Jiraiya took out 600,000 taels with a painful look on his face and handed it to White Zetsu. Okay, Mr. Jiraiya, we are ready to go. However, before that, you need to give me a 5-star rating for this service and attach a 100-word review. Quote. Speaking, Zetsu took out a form and handed it to Jiraiya. Jiraiya's forehead was bulging with veins, and he gritted his teeth and said, Are you done yet? Mr. Jiraiya, this is the company's rule. I'm just a poor worker. I can't do anything, 0007 said pitifully. Seeing this, Jiraiya sighed, took the form and began to write. The underwear is of very good quality, melts in the mouth, does not stick to the pan when washed, and children especially like to eat it. Okay, thank you for your cooperation. Then we will start the car now. Please follow me. Saying this, Zetsu started running wildly. Jiraiya breathed a sigh of relief, and finally stopped making trouble. He was about to catch up. He saw Zetsu in front suddenly stop, and then turn back again. Sorry, Mr. Jiraiya, I just ran the wrong way. 0007 scratched his head and said with a smile. Jiraiya, I feel that this company is not as professional as it claims. What should I do if an unscrupulous company makes false propaganda? Waiting online, very urgent. Outside a casino in the land of fire. Mr. Jiraiya, the destination has been reached. This navigation has ended. I wish you a happy life, and look forward to meeting you again. 0007 was about to leave with joy, but he had made a lot of money from Jiraiya, the grudge, and this money did not need to be reported, it was considered his personal income and no tax was required. But at this moment, Jiraiya suddenly stopped him. Wait a minute, please help me check the specific location of Orochimaru. Hearing this, 0007 explained. Mr. Jiraiya, Lord Orochimaru is one of the gold medal fighters of our company, and we have no right to disclose his personal information. Jiraiya, how could Orochimaru be a fighter of this unscrupulous company? And he is a gold medal. The members of the Akatsuki organization are indeed the fighters of the Black Zetsu company, because Black Zetsu invited the Akatsuki organization to join before registering the company and promised a high reward. After learning that joining the company would not only expand Akatsuki's mission channels, but also earn high commissions, Nagato agreed without a second thought. As a result, Akatsuki's missions are now spread all over the ninja world, and Akatsuki is in urgent need of manpower, so it has been recruiting new members. Because there are too many missions to handle, Nagato, whose leg injury has been healed, has to use Pain's 6 paths again. One person is 6 people. Stop talking nonsense. As long as you can tell me the exact location of Orochimaru, the price is negotiable. Jiraiya said. 0007 was obviously tempted, but he still insisted on his so-called principles. Oh my. Mr. Jiraiya, you really put me in a dilemma. After all, this involves a matter of principle. I'm just an ordinary employee. In principle, I really have no right to tell others the whereabouts of the company's senior management. However, before 0007 after he finished speaking, Jiraiya interrupted him and said, 2 million, tell me his exact location right away. Hearing the price, 0007 suddenly laughed, ha 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 ha, Mr. Jiraiya, what are you talking about? You are my principal, come on, I will take you to find Lord Orochimaru. Seeing this, Jiraiya knew that this white Zetsu was a guy who only cared about money. If money didn't impress it, it meant that the money was too little. Don't worry, wait until I get Tsunade's matter done first, Jiraiya said, and walked into the casino. Okay, Mr. Jiraiya, take your time, I have plenty of time. 0007 shouted. After Jiraiya entered the casino, 0007 rubbed his hands excitedly. Although the company has clear regulations that prohibit the disclosure of any information about company members, I really can't resist it. Mr. Jiraiya gave me too much. Ha ha ha, these 2 million are all my personal income. 0007 laughed up to the sky. After all, this kind of thing must not be known to the company. As long as it keeps it secret, all the money will naturally belong to it. 0007 took out the work form and began to record, successfully completed the task issued by Jiraiya to find Tsunade. This operation received a total of 500,000 taels of commission. According to regulations, 80% of it must be handed over to the company, so today I received 100,000 taels. Looking at this guy's proficiency, it seems that he has done this kind of thing more than once or twice. If Black Zetsu knew about this, he would definitely set up a special inspection team to investigate whether the employees in the company evaded taxes and embezzled public funds, and then start an anti-corruption storm. Inside the casino. Boss, you lost. Tsunade raised her lips slightly and put a cigarette in her mouth. Seeing this, Shizune on the side quickly took out a match and carefully lit the cigarette for Tsunade. Oh my god, which casino is this? The 7th one. Miss Tsunade has defeated 7 casinos in succession, and she has won every game without losing once. Hiss, a gasp sounded around. At this time, the face of the casino owner sitting opposite Tsunade was so gloomy that it seemed that water could drip out. After a long silence, he finally said slowly, Miss Tsunade, I lost. From now on, this casino belongs to you. After that, the casino owner waved his sleeves violently and turned away angrily. Oh my god, even the famous old gambling king can't beat her. She is so strong, I'm afraid no one in the entire Fire Country can match her. Of course, look at the 2 big words, God of Gamblers, behind her. It's so majestic and domineering. This is really a grand show. For a moment, there was a lot of discussion in the casino, and everyone's eyes were focused on Tsunade, full of awe and admiration. Just then, Jiraiya walked in. He saw Tsunade in the crowd at a glance, and he said excitedly, Tsunade, I finally found you. Oh, it's Jiraiya. Tsunade put out the cigarette in her hand, come with me. As she said that, she walked up to the 2nd floor of the casino. In the room, why did you come to me? Tsunade took out a cigarette from her pocket expressionlessly and put it into her mouth skillfully. Tsunade, I believe you also know about the old man's abdication. I came here this time to ask you to return to the village to serve as Hokage. Jiraiya said. With a light, click, sound, Tsunade struck a match and lit the cigarette at her mouth. She took a deep breath and then slowly exhaled the smoke. That old guy is not just corrupt, he also demolished the Senju clan's land while I was away. Hearing Tsunade's words, Jiraiya coughed twice to try to ease the atmosphere. Ahem, you know that after the Nine Tails rebellion, the village's economy has declined sharply, so the old man would resort to this desperate measure. Humph, I heard that the Sarutobi clan's land has been renovated very brilliantly. Ahem, as long as you return to the village to serve as Hokage, these things can change. Tsunade shook her head. I'm not interested in being a Hokage, you should find someone else. Why? Jiraiya was anxious. Tsunade picked up the poker cards on the table and started playing. my goal is to become the gambling god of the ninja world, so I have to constantly challenge all the people with superb gambling skills in the ninja world, and then step on them to get to the top. Hearing this, Jiraiya's mouth twitched. He knew how bad Tsunade's gambling skills were. A long time ago, when the three of them were completing a mission together, Tsunade could not walk when she saw a casino, but she would lose everything every time she entered a casino. But Tsunade refused to admit defeat and asked him and Orochimaru to borrow money to make back the money, but in the end she still lost everything. Ha ha ha, Tsunade, stop kidding. With your gambling skills, you still want to be a gambling god. You'd better come back to the village with me and inherit the position of Hokage. Jiraiya laughed. Although he was professionally trained, Tsunade's words really made him unable to hold back. In Jiraiya's memory, Tsunade seemed to lose every time she gambled. If it was before, Tsunade would definitely break her defense and beat Jiraiya violently after hearing Jiraiya's words. After all, lies don't hurt people, the truth is the sharp knife. But now it's different from the past. Tsunade is no longer the fat sheep who loses every time she gambles, but a gambling god in the ninja world who is about to reach the top. Seeing Tsunade silent, Jiraiya realized that he would be beaten for slandering Tsunade like this. He closed his eyes and was ready to be beaten by Tsunade. But after a long time, the imagined fist did not hit him. He slowly opened his eyes and saw Tsunade throwing a newspaper in front of him. You don't seem to believe what I said. Then take a look for yourself, on the second to last line in the lower left corner of the fourth page. Hearing this, Jiraiya picked up the newspaper curiously and found the location Tsunade mentioned. Shock. Just yesterday, the new gambling god of the fire country, Hikawa Tetsukane, lost to Princess Tsunade. 5 of the 7 major casinos in the fire country have lost to Princess Tsunade. Jiraiya looked at the content in the newspaper, and then looked at Tsunade in front of him. Is this still the Tsunade he remembered? Could it be that some unscrupulous newspaper published false content? Jiraiya muttered in a low voice. He focused his eyes on the newspaper's signature, wanting to see which unscrupulous newspaper published the content. Ninja World All-Knowing Company, Limited. Information Agency. Jiraiya's mouth twitched. He didn't expect that this company's business was quite wide. But if it was the content published by this company, it might really be true. When did your gambling skills become so good? Jiraiya said in disbelief. I've been gambling for so many years, my gambling skills must have improved. I can't lose all my life, right? Tsunade said unhappily. That's true. Jiraiya looked at Tsunade seriously. So, you really don't plan to go back to be the Hokage? Tsunade nodded. Yes, I'm not interested in being the Hokage. Seeing this, Jiraiya sighed. I understand. He knew the temper of his old friend. As long as she decided something, no matter how others persuaded her, it would be useless. After all, Jiraiya didn't have the mouth-to-mouth trickery of Naruto, who could fool others. Jiraiya stood up. Since you don't want to, I can't force you. There are so many people in the village that can always choose the right person to inherit the Hokage. If it doesn't work, let Shimura Danzo officially become the Hokage. Hearing this, Tsunade smiled and said, with Shimura Danzo's personality, if he really becomes the Hokage, the old man will be miserable. Haha, this is all the old man's fault. I won't say anything more. I still have to find that guy Orochimaru. Jiraiya turned and left. After Jiraiya left, Tsunade sighed, I can't become Hokage in my current state. During the ninja war, Tsunade witnessed her lover Kato Dan die in front of her, and then suffered from hemophobia. Since then, she has lost her so-called dream and thinks that everyone who wants to be Hokage is an idiot. Suffering from hemophobia, she has a hard time being a ninja, let alone a Hokage. Thinking of this, Tsunade smiled and said, how can being a Hokage be as fun as being a gambling god? Before she finished speaking, the poker cards in her hand suddenly turned into Ace of Spades, and then turned into 2 of Hearts in the blink of an eye. If the gamblers outside saw this scene, they would definitely rush to the kitchen to get money. Outside the casino, Mr. Jiraiya, you are here. I have already investigated the specific location of Lord Orochimaru. When will you leave? 0007 said respectfully. Now, Jiraiya said. He hadn't seen his old friend for a long time. After learning that Orochimaru had defected, He had been looking for Orochimaru's traces, but it was a pity that Orochimaru hid too well, and he hadn't found Orochimaru for so many years. Okay, Mr. Jiraiya, coordinates to the land of rain, let's go now. 0007 started running wildly. Rain Country. Hearing about this country, Jiraiya couldn't help but think of the children he met in Rain Country more than a decade ago. At the beginning, Jiraiya felt sorry for them, so he taught them ninjutsu, hoping that they could survive in this chaotic world, but unfortunately those children died in the end. Mr. Jiraiya! Mr. Jiraiya! 07's shout in the distance brought Jiraiya back to his senses. Here they come! Here they come! Jiraiya hurriedly followed. Rain Country, Rain Village. 0007 sneaked into the village with Jiraiya, and whispered, Mr. Jiraiya, Rain Country is the territory of Akatsuki. You must be cautious here. If you are discovered, don't give me out, otherwise I will be finished. Isn't Rain Village the territory of Hanzo of the Salamander? Jiraiya asked curiously. Mr. Jiraiya, your information is so backward. Hanzo of the Salamander was killed by the leader of the Akatsuki several years ago. 0007 whispered. What? Hanzo of the Salamander is dead. Jiraiya exclaimed. Shish, shish, shish. 0007 was almost crying in a hurry. He just said to keep a low profile, and Jiraiya shouted so loudly. Why are you yelling so loudly? Quote. Jiraiya quickly shut up, showing an apologetic expression, and whispered, Sorry, I was so shocked just now that I couldn't help myself. You know, Hanzo of the Salamander is known as a demigod. Such a person was killed by the leader of the Akatsuki organization. How strong must this leader be? 0007 quickly looked around and found that no one was paying attention to this side, and he was relieved immediately. Mr. Jiraiya, you almost scared me to death just now. If Lord Kakuzu finds out, it will be troublesome. Hearing this, Jiraiya asked curiously, Who is Kakuzu? Is he very powerful? 0007 explained. Lord Kakuzu is the interviewer of the Akatsuki organization. Now you need to apply to enter the village. If he finds out that I brought you in secretly, it will be difficult to explain. Jiraiya nodded, as the Kakuzu you are talking about green eyes, wearing a mask on his face, a rebel forehead protector of the long ninja village on his head, and a black-red cloud robe on his body. Quote. 0007 exclaimed. Mr. Jiraiya, I didn't expect you to know Kakuzu. If you had told us earlier, we wouldn't have to sneak in. Jiraiya shook his head, I don't know Kakuzu. Hearing this, 0007 was a little surprised, you don't know Kakuzu, so why do you know his appearance so well? Jiraiya swallowed his saliva, because he is right behind you. 0007. Quote, what are you two doing sneakily? At this moment, Kakuzu's cold voice sounded behind it. Hearing this, 07's body stiffened. It turned its head tremblingly and saw Kakuzu looking at them with a gloomy face not far away. It's over. It's over. I was really discovered by Kakuzu. This time I really can't escape. I wouldn't have been greedy for small gains earlier. Although 0007 was extremely flustered, it was engaged in fraud, customer service business, and it had already reached the state of not showing emotions on its face. 0007 still pretended to be calm and said with a smile, haha. Kakuzu, the weather is good today, so I came out for a walk. While speaking, he did not forget to scratch his head awkwardly with his hand, trying to hide his inner uneasiness. However, it seems that God does not want to give 0007 this face. Just before he finished speaking, there was a loud boom, and thunder exploded in the sky. The Rain Village, which was originally just drizzling, suddenly began to rain heavily. 0007 and Jiraiya. How come the drizzle turned into heavy rain just after I finished speaking? God is acting like this. Kakuzu wiped the rain off his face and said, the weather is really good. Tell me your work number. Hearing this, 0007 almost cried anxiously, Lord Kakuzu, you can't do this. If Lord Black Zetsu finds out, I'll be finished. Kakuzu said expressionlessly, you secretly brought people into the Rain Village and didn't follow the rules. I suspect you have been bribed by others and leaked the organization's information. 0007 felt like the sky was falling. It quickly explained, Lord Kakuzu, please listen to my explanation. Things are not what you think. But 0007 opened his mouth for a long time and didn't know how to explain. Because Kakuzu really guessed it right. 0007 was indeed bribed by Jiraiya and indeed leaked the information of Orochimaru in the organization. Oh, then explain it, Kakuzu said with interest. 0007 was even more devastated. It seemed that it really didn't know how to explain. It couldn't admit that it was really bribed by Jiraiya, right? If Kaku knew about this, wouldn't all the money it had earned from Jiraiya be wasted? By then, not only would the money be gone, but the company would also find out that it was secretly taking extra money. That would be the end of it. If Black Zetsu knew that it was evading taxes, it would definitely take away all the money it had earned with great difficulty. Maybe it would be assigned to other hard and tiring positions. Thinking of this, 0007 was very anxious. It didn't want to go to the streets to sell newspapers in the hot weather, and it didn't want to do the disgusting and smelly work of carrying manure. Just thinking about that scene was enough to make its stomach churn. 0007 had a good idea in a moment of urgency. He quickly trotted to Kakuzu, took out a thick stack of banknotes from somewhere, and handed it to Kakuzu respectfully. Lord Kakuzu, I met this man in the Land of Fire. He said he was eager to join the Akatsuki organization. This is the money he gave me. He said he wanted me to say a few good words for him in front of you. I think it's more appropriate for you to take this money. Kakuzu narrowed his eyes slightly and took the money calmly. He has been dealing with money for many years. As soon as he got the money, he judged with his rich experience that the stack of banknotes in his hand was no less than 100,000 taels. Kakuzu patted 07's shoulder with satisfaction and said, "You are quite interesting, what is your work number?" 0007 was immediately excited when he heard the praise in Kakuzu's tone, and he quickly straightened up and replied, "Report to Lord Kakuzu, I am the deputy team leader of the intelligence department, work number 007. Kakuzu nodded slightly and said with a smile, "It is indeed a bit of a waste of talent like you to work in the intelligence department. From today on, you will come to the interview team and work with me." After all, it is rare to find a white Zetsu who understands the ways of the world, so Kakuzu naturally wants to recruit such a talent under his command. "Thank you, Lord Kakuzu." 007 bowed and thanked him. "Doesn't that guy want to join the organization? Let him come with you." With that, Kakuzu walked towards the base of the Akatsuki organization. He, this is really unexpected. I thought I just got away with it by luck, but who would have thought that it would be a blessing in disguise and get a chance to be promoted? 007 said in surprise. From now on, it is no longer an unknown deputy customer service team leader, but has been promoted to the chief interviewer of the Akatsuki organization. You should know that the Akatsuki organization has only one interviewer, Kakuzu, and now he has become the second interviewer of the Akatsuki organization, and his position has been promoted. It's not just a little bit. Perhaps except for Afe, there is no one in the White Zetsu with a higher position than it. It can be said that it is, under one person, above 10,000 people. Didn't you bring me to see Orochimaru? Why did you ask me to apply for the Akatsuki organization? Jiraiya asked in confusion. After being asked by Jiraiya, 007 came back to his senses. He said unhappily, "How dare you say that? If you hadn't made such a big noise, would you have attracted Kakuzu-sama? I said this because I had no choice." Hearing this, Jiraiya scratched his head, laughed dryly and said, "Is that so? But it doesn't matter. Since Orochimaru is also in this organization, it's okay for me to join it." "Okay, stop talking. Let's go quickly. It's not good to keep Kakuzu-sama waiting for a long time," 007 urged. Now Kakuzu is his new boss. He cannot leave a bad impression on his boss as he has just started working. This will make his boss feel that he is an unreliable employee. 007, who is well versed in the ways of the workplace, will not make such a low-level mistake. Akatsuki Base, Interview Hall. Kakuzu sat at a wooden table, with his fingers naturally crossed. In front of him, there was an exquisite wooden sign with the words, "Akatsuki Chief Interviewer Kakuzu," engraved in vigorous and powerful fonts. 007 picked up the kettle on the table and carefully poured tea into Kakuzu's cup. Kakuzu picked up the teacup and took a sip of the tea, feeling the taste of the faint bitterness and sweetness intertwined. After putting down the teacup, his eyes fell on Jiraiya standing opposite him again, and he slowly said, just briefly introduce yourself. Jiraiya was in his first interview, and he seemed a little nervous when facing Kakuzu's questions. Hello, interviewer. I am Jiraiya from Konoha village in the Land of Fire. I am a novelist, and my hobby is to peek into women's bathhouses. 007, Kakuzu. Ahem, what is your hobby? Can you say it again? Kakuzu scratched his ears, thinking he had heard wrong. My hobby is peeping at the female bathhouse. Jiraiya repeated. I told you, I must have heard wrong. How could your hobby be peeping? Kakuzu's words stopped abruptly. This guy's hobby is really peeping at the female bathhouse. Why does it feel like this guy is a bit unserious? Kakuzu sighed. As a mercenary organization in the ninja world, as long as the individual strength is strong enough, some special fetishes are not a big deal. How strong are you? Our Akatsuki organization only recruits elites and absolutely does not accept lechery. If you are not strong, you can turn right out of the door. There is no need to waste time. Kakuzu said. Since the Akatsuki organization advertised in the newspaper, people have come to Kakuzu for interviews from time to time, but it's a pity that there is no one who can fight. For so many days, no one has been able to pass Kakuzu's interview. I think our casino is quite strong, Jiraiya said with a smile. Lord Kakuzu, he is Jiraiya, one of the 3 ninjas of Konoha. During the battle with Hanzo of the Salamander during World War II, he was recognized by Hanzo, so he gave them the title of 3 Ninjas of Konoha. It is worth mentioning that Lord Orochimaru is one of the 3 ninjas, 007 explained. Hearing this, Kakuzu immediately became interested. So, you and Orochimaru were comrades in arms before? During World War II, Kakuzu was busy making money everywhere and did not know the details of what happened in the ninja war. Yes, I came to the Akatsuki organization this time to find Orochimaru. Jiraiya said. Oh, you mean, the original purpose was to find Orochimaru, right? Kakuzu suddenly asked. CCC. Hearing the sound, Jiraiya looked over subconsciously and saw 007 winking at him. 007 was almost crying. Jiraiya was really a bad teammate. Didn't he emphasize it to him before? If Kakuzu asked, just say he was here for an interview. Now Jiraiya, this guy, obviously forgot what he said before. I hope Jiraiya can understand my eye hints. 007, what's wrong with you? Why do you keep blinking? Jiraiya asked curiously. 007. Kakuzu looked at 007 meaningfully and asked casually, how much money do you give 007 to help you find Orochimaru? Quote. It cost 2 million, it was really expensive. Jiraiya's words suddenly froze. He seemed to be tricked by Kakuzu. He looked at 007 awkwardly. Sorry, I didn't notice. 007 covered his face. It didn't know what to say. It felt that Jiraiya was definitely doing it on purpose. It cheated him out of money and made him dissatisfied, so it cheated itself in return. Who put the money in my body? 007 exclaimed. As he said, he quickly took out a scroll from his body and handed it to Kakuzu. Lord Kakuzu, someone secretly put 2 million in my body, this is really abominable. Kakuzu took the scroll and smiled and said, it's really abominable, fortunately you found it in time, otherwise the consequences would be disastrous. Quote. Lord Kakuzu is right, 007 said with a painful look on his face. The money I earned with great difficulty was given away before it even warmed up, and I lost 2.1 million today. Jiraiya saw 07's sad look and almost couldn't help laughing. Now he just felt happy. 007 guessed correctly. Jiraiya was doing it on purpose. He had long seen that 007 had been killing him in various ways. Since you are capable enough and qualified to join the Akatsuki organization, but before joining the organization, let's talk about the salary and benefits first. Kakuzu tapped the table with his fingers. Monthly salary plus commission for completing tasks, 100,000 taels a month is acceptable, right? Mr. Duo, 100,000 taels, Jiraiya exclaimed. Kakuzu's words shocked him greatly. You know, the reward for a C-level mission is between 30,000 taels and 50,000 taels, and the monthly salary for joining the Akatsuki organization is only the reward for 2 C-level missions. You treat me as a slave, don't you? Jiraiya said excitedly. Kakuzu was a little embarrassed. Ahem, don't be so excited, the salary is negotiable, I'll give you 500,000 ryo per month, and the mission reward will be 50 to 50, okay. That's fine. Jiraiya nodded, but he suddenly realized a problem. Why did he have to join the Akatsuki organization and then divide his mission into half? Jiraiya then realized that he came to the Rain Country to find Orochimaru, not to join the Akatsuki organization. He was completely fooled by Kakuzu and White Zetsu. I went. Sorry, I'm used to being idle and don't like being constrained, so I don't plan to join the Akatsuki organization. Jiraiya said. No, I can give you a monthly salary of 800,000. Seeing that Jiraiya was unmoved, he quickly said, no, it's 1 million. Kakuzu gritted his teeth and said as if he had made a big concession. At the beginning, Conan told him that the salary of new members was 5 million per month, and 20% of the task share was handed over to the organization. But when it came to Kakuzu, the highest became 1 million, and the share changed from 82% to 55%. Fortunately, the organization did not find a new person, otherwise it would be hard to imagine how much Kakuzu could have embezzled. Actually, I came to Kumogami village Orochimaru. Jiraiya explained. Seeing that Jiraiya really had no intention of joining Akatsuki, Kakuzu snorted coldly, you can't meet Akatsuki members whenever you want. As he spoke, several black tentacles suddenly stretched out from behind Kakuzu, and the nanorobots in Kakuzu's body began to gather towards the tentacles. Soon, the black tentacles completely turned silver-white. Jiraiya didn't expect Kakuzu to change his face faster than turning a page. Jiraiya looked at Kakuzu vigilantly. He sensed a strong sense of danger from the strange tentacles. I'm willing to pay 1 million as long as you can lead me to meet Orochimaru, okay? Jiraiya asked tentatively. Hearing 1 million, Kakuzu hesitated. Orochimaru is my only close friend in the organization, how could I sell him out for such a small amount of money? 2 million. You know, Orochimaru is my close friend in the organization, so, you have to pay more. 007. 3 million. Deal. Kakuzu quickly took back the earth resentment in his body, shook Jiraiya's hand enthusiastically, and praised, Mr. Jiraiya is really rich and generous. You know, Jiraiya has completed hundreds of S-level tasks, and this amount of money is just a drop in the bucket for him, not to mention that he is also a best-selling author, and I don't know how much wealth he has accumulated over the years. Jiraiya took out a scroll and handed it to Kakuzu. After Kakuzu took the scroll, he smiled, Mr. Jiraiya, I will take you to find Orochimaru now, please follow me. Kakuzu led Jiraiya through many twists and turns in the Rain Village and finally arrived outside Orochimaru's laboratory. Mr. Jiraiya, this is Orochimaru's laboratory, he is inside now. Kakuzu pointed to an iron gate not far away and said. Kakuzu couldn't be disrespectful. In the current ninja world, the rich are the masters. Those without money can only work hard to earn money and eat the pie drawn by the boss all day long. Before, Conan used 100 million to trick him into joining the Akatsuki organization, but he has joined the organization for more than 10 days, and the 100 million promised by Conan has not arrived. As long as he serves Jiraiya well, then when Jiraiya encounters some difficult things in the future, the first person he thinks of is him. When Jiraiya asks him for help, the task reward will definitely not be small, so Kakuzu can quickly earn enough money to collect nano-robots. Thinking of this, Kakuzu's mouth curled up. He had already imagined the scene of nano-robots covering his whole body. That guy Orochimaru, it turns out that he is hiding here. Jiraiya sighed. No wonder Jiraiya searched for Orochimaru everywhere in the ninja world, but there was no trace of him. It turned out that Orochimaru hid in such a place, and it would be strange if Jiraiya could find him. A few days ago, Orochimaru said he was going to retreat, and he hasn't come out for several days. Kakuzu said. Retreat. Jiraiya was a little curious, is Orochimaru doing human experiments again? At the beginning, Jiraiya also knew that Orochimaru was doing body experiments, but because Orochimaru used spies from other villages to do human experiments, Jiraiya felt that it was a bit cruel, but he still understood his friend's experiments. But Jiraiya didn't expect that later, due to insufficient experimental subjects, Orochimaru actually cruelly captured people from the same village to do human experiments. When Jiraiya knew about this, Orochimaru's crime was exposed and he had already fled overnight. I don't know the details. He said before that he could draw air into his body, so he went to retreat. Kakuzu shook his head and said, "Introducing chi into the body. What is this?" Jiraiya asked curiously. "Is Orochimaru studying something weird again?" Orochimaru once said that he was cultivating immortality, and as long as he successfully cultivated to the highest level, he would be able to ascend to immortality, live forever, coexist with the heaven and earth, and shine with the sun and the moon. Kakuzu recalled. "So exaggerated," Jiraiya exclaimed. Kakuzu nodded. "Yes, he did say so, but I don't know whether it is true or not." In fact, deep down in his heart, Kakuzu believed in what Orochimaru said. The reason is simple, because the skill that Orochimaru practiced was bought from the mysterious boss. Kakuzu trusted the boss unconditionally. You should know that the extremely powerful nanorobot on his body was bought from the boss. Since he got the nanorobots, Kakuzu's strength has been improved by several levels, and this is not a complete nanorobot. If he gathers all the nanorobots, his strength will definitely be stronger. By then, Kakuzu can walk sideways in the ninja world. Not only is the product of that boss powerful, but his own strength is so terrifying. He still remembers clearly that the boss slapped him against the wall with a slap, easily taking his life. If Kakuzu didn't have 5 lives, I'm afraid his grave would have started to grow grass. In fact, it's not certain, because Kakuzu is not sure whether the boss will build a grave for him. Whenever he recalls the scene at that time, Kakuzu will involuntarily feel fear and tremble all over. That feeling seems to be deep in his bones and can never be erased. Thoughts gradually withdraw from memories and return to the present. Kakuzu slowly said, "Mr. Jiraiya, Orochimaru is inside, you can go in and find him." Jiraiya nodded slightly and responded, "Oh, okay, thank you." Kakuzu waved his hand and said flatteringly, "No trouble, no trouble. Mr. Jiraiya, this is our Akatsuki organization's business card, please be sure to accept it." Our Akatsuki organization is a newly established mercenary organization in the ninja world. All members of the organization are extraordinary, and each person has the strength of a cage. If you encounter any difficult problems in the future, you can come to us. As long as you pay the corresponding reward, we will definitely do our best to help you solve the problem. As he said, Kakuzu respectfully took out a golden business card and handed it to Jiraiya. Jiraiya was extremely shocked after hearing Kakuzu's introduction. He really didn't expect that the foundation of Akatsuki was so profound, and its members were all cage-level strength. Jiraiya couldn't help but sigh in his heart. It was hard to imagine that such a group of strong if the big guys go out to perform missions in groups, they will definitely become an extremely powerful force. Even if the elite Jonin team encounters people from the Akatsuki organization, they may give up the mission and run away. Now he finally understands why Orochimaru wants to join the Akatsuki organization. Who wouldn't be tempted by such a powerful organization? But the only flaw may be that the salary is a little bit worse. Jiraiya solemnly put the Akatsuki organization's business card into his arms, and his intuition told him that he might really need to use the Akatsuki organization in the future. Seeing Jiraiya accept the business card, Kakuzu smiled and said, "Mr. Jiraiya, then I will leave first, and I won't disturb you and Orochimaru to reminisce about the past." As he said that, Kakuzu whistled and walked towards the Akatsuki organization's base. Although the weather was bad today, Kakuzu was still in a very good mood. After all, he made a huge sum of 3.6 million today, which was one step closer to one of his small goals. "I've figured out that the leaders are bad people. They only make big promises. I don't know when my 100 million ryo joining fee will be paid," Kakuzu muttered. What Kakuzu didn't know was that Nagato and Konan had no intention of fulfilling this promise. After all, everything must be based on evidence. Words are not enough. Kakuzu had no evidence to prove that Konan had promised him 100 million ryo joining fee. Therefore, Kakuzu might not see this 100 million ryo until he dies. Kakuzu suffered from lack of culture. If both parties had signed the agreement at the beginning, it would not be like this. A few years later, there was a wave of signing labor contracts within the Akatsuki organization, and the promoter of this change was Kakuzu himself, who had suffered a loss in silence in this matter. Perhaps even Kakuzu himself did not expect that the painful past he experienced would eventually become an important opportunity to promote the progress and development of the entire Akatsuki organization and seek benefits for later members. After Kakuzu left, Jiraiya looked at the iron door in front of him and was very excited. Because the person behind this door is none other than his best friend whom he has traveled thousands of miles to find, Orochimaru. Bang, 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 Jiraiya knocked on the door of the laboratory. Orochimaru, I know you are inside, open the door. After a long time, there was no response from inside. Can I come in directly? Still no one responded. He, if you don't say anything, I will take it as your consent, and I will come in. Orochimaru, I really came in. Jiraiya stood outside the door and shouted at the top of his voice. However, as time passed, the house was still quiet, without any movement. Jiraiya finally couldn't hold back his temper, rubbed his hands, and said excitedly, in this case, I really came in. As he said that, Jiraiya walked to the door, took a deep breath, slowly put his hand on the door, and tried to push the door open with brute force. Jiraiya pushed hard. The metal door still stood firmly in place, without moving. Jiraiya, he was stunned for a moment, then coughed awkwardly twice, and comforted himself, ahem, I must have pushed the door at the wrong angle just now. I will definitely be able to push it open if I change the angle again. As he said that, he quickly moved his body, changed his position and stood again. This time, Jiraiya didn't dare to be negligent. He first adjusted his breathing, then mobilized the chakra in his body to gather on his hands. After the momentum was completed, he pushed the metal door fiercely. There was a loud bang, but it was just a loud bang. Except for the louder sound, the iron door did not move at all, and even no trace was left. Jiraiya, why can't it be opened? It must be because I didn't rest well yesterday. It seems that I have to be serious, Jiraiya said with a serious expression. 2 consecutive failures made Jiraiya feel a little embarrassed, so he decided to be serious. Iron door, let me show you what the Toad Sage Jiraiya is. Jiraiya stepped back for a distance, then gritted his teeth, and suddenly accelerated and hit the metal door. Bang, the iron door made a louder sound than before, as if the whole earth was shaking. In the distance, the Akatsuki organization base. Kakuzu was happily counting the money he had earned today, but a sudden loud noise scared him, and he almost lost his grip on the banknotes in his hand and almost dropped them on the wet ground. Who is that fool who made such a loud noise? Kakuzu hurriedly walked out of the base and looked in the direction of the sound. When he heard the source of the sound, it was in the direction of Orochimaru's base. Is Jiraiya forcing the door? Isn't there a button to open the door next to it? Kakuzu looked puzzled. Maybe this is the habit of rich people. Kakuzu muttered. In fact, this is not Jiraiya's special habit, but he doesn't know what the button next to it is for. Ouch, it hurts so much. Jiraiya lay on the ground, rolling on the ground in pain. He really didn't expect that this door would be so strong. He originally thought that he could do miracles with great force, but now it seems that he thought too much. Creaky, the metal door suddenly opened from the middle to both sides. So this is how the door is opened. Jiraiya suddenly realized. No wonder he couldn't push it open. It turns out that this door is not opened by pushing, but opened from both sides. Idiot. Orochimaru looked at Jiraiya lying on the ground and wailing, speechless, isn't there a door opening button here? Orochimaru pointed to a green button next to it and said. Jiraiya looked closely and saw the words, open the door, written under the green button. Jiraiya quickly got up from the ground, scratched his head and laughed. Haha, I didn't notice. Then, he looked at Orochimaru curiously. At this time, Orochimaru had his hair tied up on his head, wearing a green Taoist robe, and holding a dust in his arms. He asked curiously, Orochimaru, what's your look? Orochimaru was too lazy to respond to Jiraiya's words, but turned and walked into the laboratory, come in. After seeing Orochimaru, Jiraiya was very excited. After so many years, he finally found this close friend. The next step is to persuade him to return to the village. In the laboratory, Orochimaru, are you still doing human experiments now? Jiraiya asked nervously. I have found a way to achieve immortality, and I don't need to do human experiments anymore. Orochimaru said. Hearing this, the big stone hanging in Jiraiya's heart finally fell down. He breathed a long sigh of relief and secretly rejoiced that Orochimaru had finally turned over a new leaf and walked on the right path. At this moment, his peripheral vision accidentally swept across a vessel in the corner, and he exclaimed, "Didn't you say you would not do human experiments? What is this?" Jiraiya pointed at a muscular man in the vessel and said in disbelief. In the vessel was a muscular man with a height of nearly 1.9 meters. This man was Cardo, who was captured by Obito. Orochimaru looked in the direction of Jiraiya's finger and explained, "This was given to me by a member of the organization. He said that this person's physical fitness was terrible, and he almost didn't, opponent. But what is strange is that although his physical fitness is terrifyingly strong, he has no resistance to illusions, so I brought him here for me to study." Quote, "Is there such an outrageous thing?" Jiraiya was surprised, but then he quickly reacted, "Then you can't make him into a specimen." Orochimaru was speechless. This man is not dead. He has been in a coma since he was hit by the illusion. I tried various methods but couldn't wake him up. I speculated that the brain nerves might be damaged. He would not wake up in a few decades, so I threw him in the nutrient solution. Quote, hearing Orochimaru's explanation, Jiraiya looked carefully at the person in the vessel and indeed found that his chest was rising and falling, indicating that Orochimaru did not lie to him. "How many years will it take for him to wake up?" Jiraiya asked curiously. "I don't know, it may take about 30 to 50 years for him to wake up," Orochimaru said, picking up the information on the table. Jiraiya's mouth twitched, and he looked at the sturdy man in the vessel with sympathy. "It's really pitiful." "How did you find this place?" Orochimaru suddenly asked. "Haha, I spent some money and someone brought me here." Jiraiya laughed. "White Zetsu or Kakuzu?" Both, Orochimaru. He knew that these money-grubbing guys were unreliable. They were colleagues after all, but he didn't expect them to sell him out so quickly. "Why did you come to me?" Orochimaru suddenly asked. Jiraiya looked serious. "I'm here to take you back to the village. As long as you admit your mistakes, everyone will accept you again." Hearing Jiraiya's words, Orochimaru laughed low and sinisterly, "Ha ha ha. You guys, you're still as naive as ever. As long as the teacher is still in office, I will never go back. The old man is gone." Quote, Orochimaru was shocked when he heard this. He asked in disbelief, "Teacher, is he dead?" Jiraiya scratched his head a little embarrassedly, showing a rather awkward expression, and explained softly, "Well, actually he is not dead, but because he was found to have embezzled several $100 million, he had to resign." Quote, Orochimaru, "The old man has stepped down now. Orochimaru, you should come back to the village with me," Jiraiya advised. Orochimaru remained silent. He really didn't expect that his teacher would abdicate for such a reason. Sarutobi Hiruzen worked diligently as a Hokage for his entire life, and he was about to retire. Unexpectedly, he would lose his integrity at this time and leave a stain. This is different from what Orochimaru imagined. In his imagination, Sarutobi Hiruzen should be like the fourth-generation Hokage Minato Namikaze. When the village is in danger, as the teacher of the Hokage, he stood up without hesitation, and died in the battle with the enemy to protect the safety of the village, thus gaining the recognition of everyone. This is the ending of the teacher imagined by Orochimaru. If the teacher really died to protect the village, then the villagers of Konoha village would definitely admire him very much, and let him leave his name in history. However, who would have thought that the once highly respected third Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was hailed as the strongest Hokage in history, was actually a man who used his position to coerce and bribe the major families to ask for a sky-high price of filial piety fees. After this matter was jointly exposed by the major families, Sarutobi Hiruzen could only step down sadly. Orochimaru originally thought that his teacher Sarutobi Hiruzen would be recorded in history with a glorious name and become a great figure admired and praised by future generations. But now it seems that this beautiful vision has become a bubble and has become out of reach. In fact, Sarutobi Hiruzen did make many wise and correct decisions during his tenure as Hokage. He devoted countless efforts to the prosperity and development of the village and won the love and trust of the villagers. Unfortunately, when the corruption and bribery were exposed, everything changed dramatically. Those brilliant achievements in the past suddenly became insignificant, as if they had never existed. People will only focus their eyes on the indelible stain on him, and criticize him without mercy. This is the cruel reality, and it is also the so-called human nature. Once a person makes a serious mistake, no matter how many shining points he has had in the past, it is difficult to resist the condemnation from the public. Think of the legendary ninja known as the White Fang of Konoha, Hatake Tsukumo. He gave up the mission to save his companions, causing huge losses to the village. Even if Hatake Tsukumo's strength is extremely strong, even if he has won many military exploits during the ninja war, even if the 3 ninjas of Konoha have to respect him. But such a person, after the mission failed, instantly became the target of public criticism, suffering from the blame and complaints from the whole village. In the end, even the rescued companions turned against him and mercilessly pointed the spearhead at the former hero. Hatake Tsukumo eventually couldn't stand the ostracism and chose to commit suicide. Even such a person couldn't resist the harm caused by rumors, not to mention Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was driven out of office for corruption and bribery. In this case, it is almost a luxury to want to wash away one's own stigma and regain recognition. Sarutobi Hiruzen may only spend the rest of his life in endless regret, silently bearing the contempt of the world, until the moment of his life, he can be free. Thinking of this, Orochimaru narrowed his eyes. The teacher must not die in such a cowardly way. It seems that I have to be the bad guy. Hearing what Orochimaru said, Jiraiya blinked and asked curiously, Orochimaru, what do you mean by this? Why don't I understand? Looking at the curious Jiraiya in front of him, Orochimaru chuckled and said, Hehe, since you don't understand, forget it. Some things are not the time to tell you now. But I believe that you will understand it naturally in a short time. Oh, seeing that Orochimaru seemed unwilling to explain too much, Jiraiya nodded tactfully to show his understanding. After all, he has known Orochimaru's character for so many years. If the other party doesn't want to say it, then even if he asks again, he may not get an answer. At this time, Jiraiya would never have thought that. Orochimaru has already begun to think in his heart how to let their beloved teacher Sarutobi Hiruzen die in a seemingly glorious way. If he knew what Orochimaru was thinking, he would definitely try his best to stop him, but unfortunately he didn't know. So, Orochimaru, are you willing to go back to the village with me? Jiraiya looked at Orochimaru expectantly. How he hoped to hear those 3 words from Orochimaru, I do. Unfortunately, ideals are full and reality is very skinny. Orochimaru shook his head and said, there is nothing in the village worth staying for, so I don't plan to go back. Hearing this, Jiraiya felt as if a basin of ice water was poured over his head, and the whole person instantly became extremely lost. He slowly lowered his head. He lowered his head. Before this, he had always believed that as long as he successfully found Orochimaru, he would be able to persuade him to return to the village. But now that he really faced Orochimaru, he deeply realized that things were far from as simple as he imagined. Just when Jiraiya was extremely disappointed, Orochimaru's next words made him brighten up. This sentence was like a ray of light in the darkness, which made him refreshed. When my realm reaches the foundation building stage, I will return to the village to see my teacher. Although Orochimaru's voice was not loud, every word was clearly transmitted to Jiraiya's ears. Really? Jiraiya raised his head suddenly, his eyes widened, and his face was full of disbelief. Although he didn't know what Orochimaru meant by foundation building, it didn't matter. Because he understood that as long as Orochimaru was still willing to return to the village to visit his teacher, it meant that there was still hope for all this. Orochimaru's eyes flickered as he said, really, I will go back to the village to see the teacher in 3 years at most. I hope the teacher will still be alive by then, and not die so early. Jiraiya did not hear the hidden meaning of Orochimaru's words. He said happily, don't worry, the old man is in great health. It will definitely not be a problem for him to live another 10 or 20 years. Jiraiya was looking forward to the scene of Orochimaru and Sarutobi Hiruzen reuniting as master and apprentice 3 years later. That scene must be very touching. Haha, that's good. Orochimaru licked his lips, as if hinting at some unknown secret. And all these subtle movements and changes in expression were completely ignored by Jiraiya on the side. Since you are fine, you can leave. I will naturally go back to the village to visit the teacher when the time is right. Orochimaru said. Haha, then you must not forget that although the old man doesn't say it, he still misses you very much in his heart. After all, you are his most proud disciple. Jiraiya scratched his head and laughed. The most proud disciple, Orochimaru murmured. Don't worry, I will definitely make my teacher's name go down in history. Chapter 71. That's right, Orochimaru, you have always been the most proud disciple of the old man. Jiraiya said with a smile. The young Orochimaru showed amazing talent early on. His smart mind, quick thinking and super understanding of ninjutsu made him stand out among his peers and was often praised by Sarutobi Hiruzen. At that time, Jiraiya was just a tail ender. Although Jiraiya always looked careless and indifferent on the surface, deep in his heart, he actually envied Orochimaru very much. He originally thought that Orochimaru would always be the pride of the teacher, but he never expected that Orochimaru would defect from the village. Orochimaru waved his hand impatiently and said coldly, "Okay, if there is nothing else, you can leave. I have to practice next." "Haha, is that so? Then I'll leave first." Hearing Orochimaru's words to drive him away, Jiraiya turned around and left tactfully. After all, Orochimaru had promised him that he would go back to visit his teacher later. In this way, his mission was completed, and there was really no need to stay here. Just as Jiraiya was about to leave the laboratory, Orochimaru suddenly asked, "By the way, since the teacher has abdicated, who will be the 5th generation Hokage?" Jiraiya stopped, paused for a moment and replied, "Originally, I wanted Tsunade to be the Hokage, but Tsunade was unwilling, so the position of Hokage was temporarily held by Shimura Danzo." It's normal that Tsunade doesn't want to be the Hokage. Didn't expect that Shimura Danzo would become the Hokage, Orochimaru murmured. As we all know, Shimura Danzo was deeply involved in the inhumane human experiments conducted by Orochimaru. At the beginning, it was Shimura Danzo who used all his human and material resources to let Orochimaru help him study Hashirama cells. It was a pity that the experiment was not successful, but Orochimaru still helped Shimura Danzo study other things. What is unexpected is that when this horrific human experiment was exposed, Shimura Danzo was able to escape unscathed without being affected at all. On the contrary, Shimura Danzo did not hesitate to put all the blame on Orochimaru, making Orochimaru the target of public criticism and forced to flee alone, while Shimura Danzo himself was safe and sound. Orochimaru did not expect that he would actually help Konoha's Pot King to bear the blame. Although the two of them were just using each other, Shimura Danzo was too unkind to kill him and put all the blame on him. Orochimaru suspected that the exposure of his laboratory was probably caused by Shimura Danzo. He has decided that when he returns to the village, he will kill Shimura Danzo first, and then send his teacher away in a grand manner. Konoha Village, Hokage Office. Chu, Shimura Danzo, who was concentrating on processing documents, sneezed without warning. Shimura Danzo suddenly raised his head, with a trace of anger on his face. "It must be the Uchiha cursing me. If it wasn't the Uchiha cursing him, how could he sneeze for no reason?" He picked up the tissue on the table and wiped off his snot. "Teacher is right, the Uchiha is a family-born evil. These Uchiha people are getting more and more outrageous, and they dare to have evil intentions towards me. No, I can't sit back and watch." Danzo thought to himself, his teeth chattering. He knew the strength and ambition of the Uchiha family very well. If he allowed them to grow and develop, they would definitely become his biggest worry in the future. Thinking of this, Danzo's heart surged with a strong murderous intent. He decided to find a suitable opportunity to completely eliminate this hidden danger. Whether it is using conspiracy or force, he will not hesitate. Shimura Danzo said with a twinkling look in his eyes, "I will never let go of anything that threatens the village." Rain Village. After Jiraiya left Orochimaru's laboratory, he sighed, "Now that these things have been solved, I can take some time to write the sequel to Intimate Paradise. After all, this work is deeply loved by the majority of otakus. If a new chapter can be launched while the iron is hot, it will definitely cause a greater sensation. However, before writing, I'd better look for inspiration first." With that, Jiraiya left Rain Village. Akatsuki Base. 007 was extremely anxious when he saw Jiraiya leaving Rain Village. How did Jiraiya's mobile meal ticket run away? Where can he go to make money if he runs away? It looked at the dark and humid Akatsuki base in front of it, feeling the suffocating atmosphere inside, and the corners of O7's mouth twitched wildly. At this moment, it began to regret why it joined Kakuzu so hastily. 007 felt that its future was clear at a glance. In O7's imagination, it should be sitting at the interview table, flipping through the pile of interviewee resumes in front of it, and all the strong men were looking at it nervously. As long as it said a word, it could decide whether these strong men would stay or go. However, the cruel reality ruthlessly shattered all his beautiful fantasies. It finally knew why there was only one interviewer, Kakuzu, in the Akatsuki organization. Because almost no one came to join the Akatsuki organization, and even if someone came, they could not meet the standards for joining the organization. It might as well continue to work as a customer service in the company and make some extra money. Now, not only did the millions of dollars it had worked so hard to earn go down the drain, but its life was over. What are you doing? Didn't you see that there was no water in my cup? Hurry up and pour me some water. Kakuzu scolded. 007 felt wrong. He had been in the Akatsuki organization for a long time, but he was busy pouring water for Kakuzu. It picked up the kettle on the table and poured water into Kakuzu's teacup. After pouring the water, 007 suddenly covered his stomach. Lord Kakuzu, my stomach is a little uncomfortable, I'm going to the toilet. Go ahead, so White Zetsu also needs to go to the toilet. Kakuzu muttered. After 007 walked out of the base, he looked back and saw that Kakuzu didn't follow him out. Suddenly, an irresistible impulse came to his mind, and he quickly ran towards the gate of Rain Village. After 007 completely left the scope of Rain Village, he stopped, raised his hand to wipe away the tears that had slipped from the corners of his eyes, and said aggrievedly, "You really treat me as a slave, right? It's over if you see me running away. Run away, brothers, run away." Konoha Village, Hokage's office. Knock knock knock, the door of the office was knocked. Come in. Shimura Danzo slowly raised his head, put the document he was reading on the table, and said in a deep voice. As the voice fell, the door was pushed open, and Nara Shikaku walked in with a stack of documents. Nara Shikaku, what do you want to talk to me about? Shimura Danzo said with a smile. Shimura Danzo still admired Nara Shikaku. It was Nara Shikaku who carefully planned and organized the major families to unite and publicly expose Sarutobi Hiruzen's unspeakable crimes, and finally forced Sarutobi Hiruzen to roll down from the position of Hokage in embarrassment. It was because of this incident that Shimura Danzo had the opportunity to ascend to this coveted position and become the acting Hokage of Konoha Village. Although, there were some small episodes in this process, Nara Shikaku didn't understand what he meant, and actually proposed that Tsunade, the yellow-haired girl, should take over the position of Hokage. This made him so angry that his brain was congested and he fainted directly. Shimura Danzo originally thought that he might not be able to become Hokage in his life. After all, once Tsunade takes the position, with her ability and prestige, it would be difficult for anyone else to shake her position. Unless a miracle happens, such as Tsunade dying young like the fourth-generation Hokage Minato Namikaze. But the probability of this is so small that it can be almost ignored. Just when Shimura Danzo was lying on the hospital bed in despair, Nara Shikaku told him, because Tsunade has been away from the village for too long, it is unrealistic to find her to come back and inherit the position of Hokage in a short time, so the patriarchs of the major families discussed that he would serve as the temporary Hokage before Tsunade came back. After learning about this, Shimura Danzo jumped up from the bed excitedly, as if he was not the one who fainted before. Although Shimura Danzo was only an acting Hokage, he was still very happy. Since he became the interim Hokage, Shimura Danzo has been getting up earlier than chickens and sleeping later than dogs every day. He sits at his desk all day, dealing with all kinds of affairs in the village, but he has no complaints about it. Instead, he enjoys it. Because this is his dream since he was a child. Now that his dream has finally come true, how could he get tired of it? Acting Hokage, I have a document sent by the daimyo of the Land of Fire. It is said that it is the daimyo's appointment of the fifth-generation Hokage. Nara Shikaku handed the document to Shimura Danzo. Hearing this, Shimura Danzo couldn't help but feel panic and uneasiness in his heart. Did they find Tsunade so quickly? This news caught him off guard. He originally thought that he could temporarily sit firmly on the position of Hokage and enjoy the admiration of everyone, but now it seems that everything may come to nothing. Shimura Danzo bit his lips tightly, and his face became extremely ugly. He had only been in this position for a few days. He had not had time to enjoy the respect of everyone, had not started to make great plans, had not yet destroyed the evil Uchiha, and had not yet made the village bigger and stronger. Shimura Danzo took the document with trembling hands, and for a moment he did not have the courage to open the document. The document seemed to have become a heavy burden, which made him breathless. He did not dare to look at it, fearing that the daimyo would officially appoint Tsunade as the 5th generation Hokage. Seeing Shimura Danzo's nervous face, Nara Shikaku's mouth curled up. If Tsunade was not in the village, how could Shimura Danzo be the Hokage? He knew that Shimura Danzo was not a good guy, and he did a lot of bad things behind the scenes. Now that the document appointing Tsunade as Hokage has finally come down, this old guy can also be a fool. In the end, Shimura Danzo still trembled and opened the document. However, when his eyes touched the eye-catching title, he was struck by lightning, his body trembled violently, and the blood color on his face disappeared without a trace in an instant, turning pale as paper. The title read, The 5th Hokage Appointment Notice. The 5th Hokage Appointment Notice. Shimura Danzo's lips trembled uncontrollably, and his voice became hoarse and unpleasant due to extreme shock. The most worried thing has happened. He couldn't figure out why Tsunade was found so quickly. He had only been Hokage for 3 days, and he hadn't even had time to fully experience the pleasure of power, but everything was going to end so hastily. Shimura Danzo was a little disappointed, but he continued to read the following content. The villagers of Konoha village elected Senju Tsunade as the 5th Hokage, but Tsunade herself was unable to serve as Hokage for various reasons, so after consultation and decision by all the daimyo, the acting Hokage Shimura Danzo was appointed as the 5th Hokage. Wait for Shimura Danzo to finish reading. After reading the above content, he opened his mouth in disbelief. Time passed by minute, and the surroundings fell into a dead silence. Only the heavy breathing of Shimura Danzo could be clearly heard. After a long time, Shimura Danzo finally came back to his senses. He suddenly laughed and said, "Ha ha ha. I finally became Hokage. I am Hokage now." Nara Shikaku, who was standing by, was confused by this sudden change. He looked at Shimura Danzo with a puzzled face, not knowing what happened at all. With strong curiosity, Nara Shikaku reached out and picked up the document on the table and read it carefully. As his eyes wandered between the words, Nara Shikaku's face became more and more ugly. In the end, he was so shocked that his eyes widened and his eyeballs almost fell out. What kind of wind did the daimyo of the Fire Country have? How could he let someone like Shimura Danzo officially serve as Hokage? Looking at Shimura Danzo, who was extremely excited, Nara Shikaku felt like the sky had fallen. Nara Shikaku knew Danzo Shimura's personality and character very well. This person was insidious, cunning, ruthless, and would do anything to achieve his ambitions. Looking at Danzo Shimura's face that was distorted by excitement, Nara Shikaku could not help but feel a sense of despair. Thinking of this, Nara Shikaku regretted it in his heart. It would be better to let Sarutobi Hiruzen continue to serve as Hokage. Compared with Danzo Shimura, Sarutobi Hiruzen was many times better than him. Although Sarutobi Hiruzen was corrupt and accepted bribes, he was still very reliable in doing things. He was paid to do things. As for Danzo Shimura, it was hard to say. Nara Shikaku suspected that Danzo Shimura would not ask them for huge wealth, but let all the roots and Anbu to raid their homes. Nara Shikaku prayed silently, hoping that Danzo Shimura would correct his previous problems after becoming Hokage, otherwise their families would be really miserable. Ahem, Lord Hokage, I have something to do. I have to leave first. With that, Nara Shikaku ran out of the Hokage's office with an anxious look on his face. It's over. This time there is really a problem. Shimura Danzo has really become the Hokage, and Konoha village has no future. Nara Shikaku can't wait to tell the patriarchs of the major families about this news so that they can make timely preparations. You know, there is a world of difference between the power of the acting Hokage and the official Hokage. The power of the acting Hokage is not great, and even the Hokage's exclusive force, the Anbu, the acting Hokage has no right to mobilize. Unless the life of the acting Hokage is endangered, the Anbu will take action. Now that Shimura Danzo has officially become the Hokage, it means that all the Anbu members will obey his command. Coupled with the roots he has cultivated himself, these two departments together are a very terrifying force, enough to threaten their families. If Shimura Danzo is dissatisfied with one of the families, it is easy to exterminate them. Thinking of this, Nara Shikaku trembled. No, I have to tell them about this as soon as possible. Hokage's office. Ha ha ha, I didn't expect that I would become the official Hokage. Shimura Danzo said excitedly as he looked at the appointment letter in his hand. He has read this appointment letter no less than 5 times. When he thought that he had officially become the Hokage, he was so excited that he almost fainted. Come here, Shimura Danzo suddenly shouted. As soon as he finished speaking, 8 people kneeling on one knee with animal masks on their faces suddenly appeared in the Hokage's office. Among them, 4 were members of the Root, and the other 4 were members of the Anbu. Looking at the 4 Anbu who appeared, Shimura Danzo was very excited. These guys finally listened to him. 3 days ago, Shimura Danzo wanted to call these Anbu out, but his voice was almost hoarse, and he didn't see these guys come out. In desperation, Shimura Danzo had to transfer a few members from the Root. Otherwise, he, the acting Hokage of Konoha village, wanted to call his subordinates to help him, and his throat was broken, but no one paid attention to him. Isn't it embarrassing? Now, these Anbu finally listened to him. Spread the news that I officially became the Hokage. Shimura Danzo handed the appointment letter to the Anbu in the lead. Yes, Hokage. The Anbu took the appointment letter respectfully. Say it again, what did you call me? Shimura Danzo said excitedly. Hokage. The Anbu lowered his head and repeated. Hey, Shimura Danzo looked satisfied. Cool, it's really cool. This is the feeling he wants. This is the scene he has fantasized about for many years in the Dark Root. I didn't expect it to come true today. Okay, you go down. Shimura Danzo waved his hand, indicating that the Anbu can leave. Hearing this, the Anbu members hurriedly followed the order and left the Hokage's office. You guys go down too. Shimura Danzo looked at several Root members and said. Yes, Hokage-sama. The Root members said and left. Shimura Danzo put his hands behind his back and walked to the French window of the office. From his position, he could just take in the scene of Konoha village. A breeze blew by, and Shimura Danzo closed his eyes comfortably. At this moment, he enjoyed this feeling very much. After a long time, he opened his eyes and began to look at the overall situation of Konoha village. Hiruzen has been in office for so many years, and it seems that the village's economy has not improved much. Shimura Danzo raised his hand and pointed to a place. This kind of outdated building can be completely demolished and replanned. When he saw a place on the edge of the village, his pupils shrank sharply and he said angrily, the Uchiha actually built such a large clan land, which is simply a waste of the village's land resources. I think the Uchiha has already found a way to die. Among the many disciples of the second-generation Hokage Senju Tobirama, only Shimura Danzo perfectly inherited the will of his teacher, that is, he hated the Uchiha clan from the bottom of his heart. In their view, the Uchiha clan is a clan born evil, because after the Uchiha clan members open their eyes, they are easily swallowed by darkness and finally go astray. Uchiha is placed in the village, it is simply a time bomb, and it is unknown when it will explode, so Senju Tobirama and Shimura Danzo will hate it very much. It seems that the Uchiha clan extermination plan is on the agenda. Shimura Danzo muttered, but before that, let's go see how my old friend is doing recently. Shimura Danzo's visit to his old friend was fake, and his true intention was to show off. As the saying goes, if you don't return home when you are rich, it's like walking in the night in brocade clothes. He couldn't wait to see Sarutobi Hiruzen's reaction after he knows he's become the Hokage. When he thought of Sarutobi Hiruzen's complicated expression, Shimura Danzo wanted to laugh. He hurriedly set off and prepared to go to the Sarutobi clan. As soon as he reached the door, he suddenly remembered that the Hokage hat had not been taken yet, so he quickly turned back and picked up the hat on the table and put it on his head. Today is a really good day, everything I want can come true. Shimura Danzo left the Hokage building happily. Sarutobi clan. Sarutobi Hiruzen sat on the doorstep, looking at the white clouds in the sky with lifeless eyes. Since he abdicated, he has been doing nothing and sitting in the yard in a daze all day. Suddenly, Sarutobi Hiruzen slapped his thigh in regret. I should have known not to ask those clan leaders for money. Then he sighed again. If I don't give money, that guy will spread the news that I peeped into the women's bathhouse. Sarutobi Hiruzen found himself in a dead end, and he could not change the outcome of losing the support of the people no matter what. Forget it, maybe God wants me to die. Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed. Oh, Hiruzen is free. It's good that he abdicated, unlike me who is busy all day long. At this time, Shimura Danzo said with a smile. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at the Hokage hat on Shimura Danzo's head and complained, "It's so hot, I'm not afraid of dying of heat with a hat." Hearing Sarutobi Hiruzen's words, Shimura Danzo smiled and said, "It's a bit hot, but there's nothing I can do. I'm the Hokage now, and my image is very important when I go out." Sarutobi Hiruzen's mouth twitched. Our acting Hokage is really busy with official duties. Sarutobi Hiruzen deliberately emphasized the word, acting. What? How do you know that I'm now a regular? Shimura Danzo said with a surprised look. Sarutobi Hiruzen. Puff. Seeing Sarutobi Hiruzen's shocked expression, Shimura Danzo finally couldn't hold back. Ha ha ha, are you surprised? Are you surprised? I am the 5th Hokage now. Sarutobi Hiruzen. Impossible, this is absolutely impossible. After hearing the news, Sarutobi Hiruzen felt his eyes go dark. He said in disbelief, "Danzo, are you kidding me?" Sarutobi Hiruzen kept praying in his heart, hoping that Shimura Danzo was kidding him. After all, his own failure was hard to accept, but his friend's success was even more painful. However, when he saw Shimura Danzo's face, which was always full of smug smiles, a chill rose from his spine. He knew that his prayers might have been in vain. Seeing Sarutobi Hiruzen's panicked expression, Shimura Danzo couldn't suppress the smile on his face. He took out a daimyo's appointment notice from his arm slowly and handed it to Sarutobi Hiruzen. "Although I don't know what you are expecting, this is reality." Shimura Danzo sneered. Sarutobi Hiruzen took the document with trembling hands. When he saw the contents of the document clearly, he felt blood rushing up and almost spit out a mouthful of old blood. He didn't understand why Tsunade didn't want to come back to be the Hokage, but now, Danzo Shimura has taken advantage of her. Seeing Danzo Shimura's smug look, Sarutobi Hiruzen felt a little breathless. It felt like he was dying, with more exhalation than inhalation. No, why? He felt bad when he was forced to abdicate, and now that he knew Danzo had become the Hokage, he felt even worse. After a long silence, Sarutobi Hiruzen barely smiled stiffly. "Haha, congratulations, Danzo, at the age of over 60, you finally became the coveted Hokage, which is really a cause for celebration." Danzo Shimura was still happy at first, but after hearing what Hiruzen Sarutobi said, the smile on his face suddenly froze. Danzo Shimura. He was originally happy, but Hiruzen Sarutobi's words made him unhappy again. Although Hiruzen Sarutobi was telling the truth, why did he feel so uncomfortable? Because lies don't hurt people, the truth is the sharpest knife. The corner of Shimura Danzo's mouth twitched slightly, and a hint of coldness was revealed in his eyes. He said coldly, "I'm not here to talk to you today. I want to tell you that since I became the Hokage, some of my previous plans will be put on the agenda now. For example, destroying Uchiha." Hearing this, Sarutobi Hiruzen's face instantly became solemn. He frowned and said in a deep voice, "Danzo, some things can't be done too radically. We have to consider the future of the village. I did it too radically. Don't you see that the Uchiha people have a stinky face all day long, as if others owe him 1,000,000 or 800,000. I've been unhappy with them for a long time." Shimura Danzo snorted coldly. "Is this why you want to attack Uchiha?" Sarutobi Hiruzen widened his eyes and asked in disbelief. "Is this why Danzo hates Uchiha? It's really too scary. I didn't expect Shimura Danzo to be such a person." "Of course not. Uchiha has gradually become dissatisfied with the village over the years, and is now plotting a rebellion." Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed and said helplessly, "Alas. All this is indeed caused by my failure to handle it well, but Danzo, you are really too extreme. We should think about how to ease the tension between the village and the Uchiha clan. rather than taking direct action against them, which will only further aggravate the already sharp contradictions. Hearing this, Shimura Danzo couldn't help laughing. Ha ha ha, Hiruzen, you are still so indecisive. The Uchiha is now a time bomb that may explode at any time. No one knows when it will explode. From the perspective of the village's safety, the hidden danger of Uchiha must not be left. Shimura Danzo completely couldn't understand Sarutobi Hiruzen's thoughts at the moment. Obviously, the contradiction between the two sides has developed to such an irreconcilable situation, but Sarutobi Hiruzen still wants to solve the problem through peaceful means. Isn't this a foolish dream? In his opinion, Sarutobi Hiruzen was simply ridiculously childish. Faced with such a serious situation, if decisive measures are not taken, I am afraid that the entire Konoha will fall into an abyss of no return. However, Sarutobi Hiruzen still holds on to that unrealistic fantasy and tries to calm the storm in a gentle way. Little did he know that doing so would only make the enemy more arrogant and domineering, and eventually bring greater disaster to the village. Seeing that Shimura Danzo did not listen to his advice and still insisted on dealing with the Uchiha clan, Sarutobi Hiruzen roared angrily, "Enough, Danzo. I am the Hokage." Hearing this, Shimura Danzo's face turned pale. Why am I not the Hokage? If I were the Hokage, wait. He seems to be the Hokage now. Shimura Danzo subconsciously touched the Hokage hat on his head. I was scared to death, I almost forgot that I was the Hokage. Seeing the Hokage hat on Shimura Danzo's head, Sarutobi Hiruzen realized that he was no longer the Hokage now, but Shimura Danzo. Ahem, sorry, I've been the Hokage for so many years, I'm used to it, I didn't react for a while. Sarutobi Hiruzen scratched his head and laughed dryly. Shimura Danzo. In fact, Shimura Danzo didn't react just now. After all, this sentence is a lifetime shadow for Shimura Danzo, because every time Sarutobi Hiruzen said this, he could only leave unwillingly. Hiruzen, every time we disagreed and quarreled for so many years, you always use the title of Hokage to suppress me. It really makes people very unhappy. Shimura Danzo gritted his teeth. Sarutobi Hiruzen laughed awkwardly. Haha, no way, I'm just thinking about the village. Really? Of course, Danzo, listen to me. The conflict between the Uchiha and the village can still be reconciled, don't think about using force to solve it. This will cause serious harm to the village. Sarutobi Hiruzen said anxiously. The Uchiha must be completely eliminated, you can retire in the Sarutobi clan, I will take care of this matter. Shimura Danzo said. Seeing this, Sarutobi Hiruzen was immediately anxious, you can't do this. Other countries are eyeing the fire country. If a war breaks out in the village, those countries will definitely take the opportunity to attack the fire country. Shimura Danzo said disdainfully. If other countries dare to come, then fight. I'm not afraid of them. Danzo, you. Sarutobi Hiruzen wanted to persuade him a few more times, but was interrupted by Shimura Danzo. Enough, Hiruzen. I am the Hokage, I am not here to discuss with you, but to inform you. I will destroy the Uchiha clan, even Jesus can't stop it. Sarutobi Hiruzen. Isn't this his line? Is this sentence so hurtful? He can now understand how Danzo felt before. Seeing Sarutobi Hiruzen stunned on the spot, Shimura Danzo felt extremely comfortable all over. Cool, so cool. This is the feeling that power brings to people. Extra, the fifth Hokage of Konoha village has been officially confirmed, and it turns out to be him. Give me a copy. Give me a copy too. Oh my god, Shimura Danzo is the fifth Hokage. I don't understand why Tsunade chose to give up being the Hokage. Tsunade is the new gambling god of the land of fire, she doesn't have time to go back to inherit the position of Hokage. Is this true? How did you know? Isn't it written on the last line of the third page of the newspaper? It's true, you can make millions by gambling. If I don't want to go back to be the Hokage, I won't. After the newspapers were sold, the White Zetsu found a cool place to rest. Why do I have to sell newspapers too? Afei said dissatisfiedly. As the second in command of Ninja World All-Knowing Service Company, Limited, didn't it just slack off in the office during work, embezzle and accept bribes, and misappropriate some of the company's public funds? Unexpectedly, after learning what it had done, Black Zetsu angrily threw it out of the office and asked it to start from the grassroots level. So, A-Fei could only go to the street to sell newspapers. Master A-Fei, don't be angry. I believe you will be able to return to the top of the company soon. Yes, Master A-Fei, we will definitely make a comeback. Hearing the compliments from the white Zetsu, A-Fei put his hands on his hips and laughed. That's right, that's right. When I return to the company, I will definitely promote you. Hearing this, the white Zetsu were very excited. As long as A-Fei really returned to the company, they would really make it. The job of selling newspapers is really hard and tiring. Even if all the newspapers are sold out in such a hot day, they can't make much money. After all, the company has taken away the bulk of the money, and only a few cents are left for them. Master A-Fei, I will go to the intelligence department to work as a customer service representative. I heard that they can make hundreds of thousands of dollars as soon as they open there. Is it true? Is the intelligence department so profitable? Of course it's true. I have a friend who works in the intelligence department. He can make at least 500,000 or 600,000 yuan by taking a business privately. I want to work as a customer service representative too. Master A-Fei, I want to work as a customer service representative too. Master A-Fei, me too. Haha, isn't it just to go to the intelligence department? No problem, A-Fei said with a smile. As long as he can return to the company, it will be easy to arrange a few white Zetsu to enter the intelligence department. Master A-Fei, awesome. Long live Master A-Fei. Just then, a fat man in gorgeous Mediterranean clothes came over. Sorry, today's newspapers are sold out. Please come back tomorrow. A-Fei thought the other party was here to buy newspapers, so he explained. The fat man shook his head and flattered. Dear white Zetsu, I want to buy information from you. Hearing this, A-Fei's eyes lit up, and he immediately flattered. Are you here to buy information? You have found the right person. Our Ninja World All-Known Service Company, Limited is definitely the most well-informed organization in the ninja world. We have almost all the information you want to know. A-Fei patted his chest and guaranteed. That's right, and this person is the second in command of the company, Lord A-Fei. White Zetsu explained. Hearing White Zetsu's explanation, the fat man became even more excited. He didn't expect that the white Zetsu in front of him had a high official position. Perhaps, what he had been looking for many years, it really has here. The fat man looked at the busy streets and whispered, Master A-Fei, there are too many people here, let's talk for a while. A-Fei nodded and said to the white Zetsu behind him, wait for me here, I'll be back soon. With that, A-Fei followed the fat man and left. In a luxurious hotel in the capital of the Fire Nation. Tell me what information you want, and I'll find someone to help you arrange it. A-Fei said. The fat man looked embarrassed, and after a long time, he blushed and said, Master A-Fei, do you think there is anything in this world that can? Seeing that the fat man didn't say anything for a long time, A-Fei said impatiently, can what? You tell me when the time comes. The fat man clenched his fists and gritted his teeth and said, it can make men regain their masculinity. After saying this, he immediately lowered his head in shame. What the hell? A-Fei's mind was full of question marks. What is rejuvenation? Why do men need to regain their virility? A-Fei is just a white Zetsu who likes to study feces, and he can't understand what the fat man said. What does rejuvenation mean? A-Fei asked curiously. The fat man covered his face and said, oh, it's disgusting. Lord A-Fei, that's what I mean. A middle-aged fat man with a Mediterranean appearance in his 40s, with a shy face, flirted with A-Fei. A-Fei felt uncomfortable all over, and goosebumps instantly appeared on his body. Can you be more specific? I really don't understand, A-Fei said. The fat man found that A-Fei really didn't know what he meant, and explained patiently, Sir A-Fei, I am a wealthy businessman, my family is very rich, and I have married many concubines, but as I get older, I am increasingly unable to do that. I have no choice but to come here to ask if you have the kind of thing that can make a man regain his masculinity. Hearing the fat man's explanation, A-Fei pretended to be enlightened and said, oh, it turns out that you are not good at that. Quote. Actually, A-Fei didn't understand Fatty's explanation. But Black Zetsu once told him that when doing business outside, if the other party explains, even if he still doesn't understand, he should make an expression of sudden enlightenment, because this will make the other party feel that you understand what he means, and you are not a fool, and the other party will give up the idea of cheating you. The corner of the fat man's mouth twitched. If he understood it, then he understood it. Why do you have to make an expression of sudden enlightenment? Doesn't he have any face? This will really make him feel embarrassed, fool. So, do you have this kind of thing here? Fatty asked expectantly. Afei didn't even understand what Fatty meant. How could he know if the company had this kind of thing? Just when Afei was at a loss, a figure suddenly appeared in his mind. If it was that man, maybe there really was such a thing. Thinking of this, Afei patted his chest and guaranteed, "Of course there is, but the price will be very expensive." Quote, "It knows the price of the goods in that store. If it really has them, the price will definitely not be cheap. Therefore, it has to give Fatty a heads up first, otherwise what if Fatty sees that the price is too expensive and doesn't want to buy? Price is not a problem. I lack everything except money," Fatty said excitedly. Originally, he saw the advertisement of the Ninja World Master Company in the newspaper, so he asked with the mentality of giving it a try. He didn't expect that this company really has such a thing. It's really powerful. Wait for me here, I'll go back and get it for you. Afei said, and left the hotel and rushed to the border of the fire country. At the border of the land of fire, inside a shop. Yun Xiao stretched his body. So boring, business is not good recently, and it has been closed for 2 days. Host, please be patient, this system has a hunch that there will be business today. Yun Xiao curled his lips. How dare you say that? If you didn't make a mistake in positioning, how could the shop be opened in such a corner? System. Forget it, let's continue watching Naruto. As he said that, Yun Xiao turned on the computer and started watching Naruto. My filial son Uchiha Itachi. Bring the sickle, put on the mask, accompany Obito, go home and chop. Yun Xiao didn't understand Uchiha Itachi's brain circuit. Shisui had just died, and Uchiha Itachi teamed up with Obito to slaughter the family. Only one of the 2 pillars was left. Seeing his family destroyed, he opened a magatama in anger. I don't know where the plot is now. Has Naruto gone to ninja school? Yun Xiao murmured. Boss. Just then, Afei's devilish voice sounded outside the door. Yun Xiao was a little surprised. He didn't expect that the dog system really guessed it right. There really was business coming to the door today. He quickly got up, walked to the door, looked at Afei outside the door and smiled. Hey, isn't this Afei? I haven't seen you for a few days. I miss you so much. Yes, boss, we haven't seen each other for several days. Afei said. Come in, come in. Yun Xiao enthusiastically invited Afei into the store. After Afei entered the house, Yun Xiao asked Afei to sit down, then picked up the water cup on the table and poured a glass of water for Afei. Afei is Yun Xiao's big customer. Yun Xiao's highest consumption record in the store was set by Afei. Yun Xiao should be more enthusiastic. Afei was somewhat flattered to take the cup. Thank you, boss. It didn't expect that the mysterious boss would be so friendly to it, which was much better than its boss, Black Zetsu. But what Afei didn't know was, for Yun Xiao, customers are God. As long as the other party spends money here, Yun Xiao will definitely entertain them warmly. You're welcome, you're welcome. Yun Xiao waved his hand and smiled. Afei, where have you made money recently? Boss, Black Zetsu has established a company in the ninja world. I am now the second in command of the company, and I have thousands of white Zetsu brothers under me. Afei explained. However, Afei did not tell Yun Xiao that he evaded taxes, deceived superiors and subordinates, and embezzled public funds in the company, and was expelled from the top after being discovered by Black Zetsu. Because it felt that this matter was too embarrassing, and it would definitely be laughed at if it told Yun Xiao. Yun Xiao widened his eyes in shock. Black Zetsu actually established a company in the ninja world. Since it is called a company, the speed of making money must be very fast. Yun Xiao was a little emotional. Heiju was a monster who had lived for more than 1,000 years. Making money was a piece of cake for him. He believed that within a few years, Heiju would be able to bring tens of billions to revive Kagaya. However, what shocked Yun Xiao even more was that Afei was actually the second in command of the company. You know, Afei had taken more than 2 billion from Heiju before. I didn't expect that Heiju would appoint a Fei as the second in command. It seems that the lesson from the last time was not enough. When a Fei embezzled public funds again, Heiju would be honest. In fact, Heiju was already honest. He went to the company to check the account book before and found that the account book did not match at all. There were tens of millions missing. Heiju was immediately angry and began to order a thorough investigation of the matter. In the end, he found out that a Fei embezzled public funds, and Heiju was so angry that he asked him to pack up and leave on the spot. The naive Fei didn't know the seriousness of the matter. He thought he was going to the grassroots to experience life. Little did he know that if nothing unexpected happened, he would have to stay at the grassroots level for the rest of his life. At this time, someone will ask, since a Fei likes to defecate so much, why doesn't Black Zetsu let him go to dig out feces? In fact, Black Zetsu wanted to let him dig out feces from the beginning, but thinking of a Fei's special hobby of liking to defecate, Black Zetsu was afraid that he would see so much feces and jump into the pit excitedly and then die of pleasure. In the end, he decided to let a Fei sell newspapers. But what Black Zetsu didn't know was that his decision made a Fei accidentally contact the business of second-hand dealers, and eventually made a Fei the largest middleman in the ninja world, and even almost became the richest man in the ninja world. Of course, this is all later. A Fei ran from the capital of the fire country to the border. The long run made it feel dry and thirsty, and it was about to drink the water in the cup. Yun Xiao suddenly stopped him. Wait a minute. As he said, Yun Xiao quickly snatched the cup from a Fei's hand and poured out the water casually. A Fei, what's the situation? I haven't drunk it yet. Why did you pour it out? Just when a Fei was confused, Yun Xiao took out a can of tea leaves and began to brew tea skillfully. How can a chairman drink plain water? Come, boss A Fei, come and try the specialty of my hometown, Tigenian. Yun Xiao said with a smile, while carefully handing the brewed hot tea to a Fei. A Fei took the teacup curiously, blew away the hot air on the surface, and drank the whole cup of tea. In an instant, a strong and unique tea fragrance filled his mouth, and a Fei felt comfortable all over, and the fatigue disappeared instantly. A Fei's eyes lit up, and he couldn't help but exclaimed, "Wow, it tastes so good." This wonderful taste made a Fei intoxicated, as if he was in a fresh and pleasant tea garden. Haha, as long as Boss A Fei likes it, I'll give you a few cans when the time comes. Yun Xiao said with a smile. After all, A Fei is now a senior executive of the company, and his value will surely rise in the future. Yun Xiao must build a good relationship with him in advance, and count on A Fei to come to the store to consume in the future. Boss A Fei, I wonder what you want to buy this time. Seeing that the time is almost right, Yun Xiao went straight to the point. Hearing this, A Fei scratched his head and didn't know how to explain for a while. Yun Xiao was not in a hurry to see this, and picked up the teacup and drank it by himself. Boss, do you have anything here that can help men regain their masculinity? A Fei thought for a long time, didn't know how to explain, so he asked according to the fat man's words. Ahem. Yun Xiao didn't expect A Fei to say something so shocking. He didn't react for a moment and choked on the tea. After a long time, Yun Xiao finally recovered. He looked at A Fei sitting opposite him with a look of disbelief. White Zetsu actually has that function. It shouldn't be possible. It's not mentioned in the anime. Could it be that when the transformation platform was transforming A Fei before, it was installed by the way? Thinking of this, Yun Xiao's gaze on A Fei gradually began to move downwards. Yun Xiao's sight moved down, and when he saw it clearly, he was relieved. No, no, no. Yun Xiao was shocked, and thought that the workbench really installed that thing for A Fei. After being shocked, Yun Xiao looked at A Fei curiously. Since A Fei didn't have that function, why did he need that kind of thing? In Yun Xiao's impression, isn't A Fei an expert in human feces research? Why didn't he continue to study feces, but started to study these things instead? Ahem, I have this kind of thing here, but what do you want it for? As far as I know, you Baiju don't seem to have this function, right? Yun Xiao asked curiously. Hearing this, A Fei's face lit up, and the boss really had this kind of thing here. It explained, Boss, this is the boss. Today someone asked me if there is anything that can make a man regain his masculinity, and he is willing to pay a high price to buy it, so I thought of you. After hearing A Fei's explanation, Yun Xiao's mouth twitched. How can people be so smart? Yun Xiao didn't know if there was such a thing as a blue pill in the original book, but from the looks of it, there shouldn't be. He looked at Ah Fei with admiration. He didn't expect Ah Fei to be so business-minded that he could come to him to buy goods according to customer needs and then make a profit. No wonder you can become the second in command of the company. You really have a business mind. Yun Xiao praised. Yun Xiao was not angry about Ah Fei coming to him to make a profit. Because the goods in the store are clearly marked, Yun Xiao cannot change the prices of the goods without authorization. So, he was not angry about Ah Fei coming to him to make a profit. On the contrary, he was very supportive. After all, the more goods Ah Fei bought from him, the more he would earn. Yun Xiao was worried that he had no business recently, but he didn't expect Ah Fei to come to his door. As long as Ah Fei built this complete supply chain, he would continue to buy goods from him, so that he would have a steady stream of money every day. Thinking of this, Yun Xiao sighed. I didn't expect that I would become a supplier. As expected, capital makes money faster. Boss, can you show me the product? Ah Fei asked. Of course, wait a minute. As he said that, Yun Xiao quickly stood up, walked to a counter, and took out a small transparent bottle with a few blue pills in it. Yun Xiao put the bottle in front of Ah Fei and said with a smile, Boss Ah Fei, this is what you want. Ah Fei picked up the bottle and looked at it curiously. Is this the thing that can make a man regain his masculinity? That's right, you only need one pill to return to the age of 18. With it, you can have fun every night, and there are no side effects. Yun Xiao explained. Ah Fei nodded, not quite understanding. I understand. I understand. Yun Xiao, what do you understand? You don't have that ability, you know shit. Yun Xiao's mouth twitched. It doesn't matter whether you understand or not, just introduce it to the customer like this when the time comes. Ah Fei looked at Yun Xiao in shock. As expected of the boss, you can tell at a glance that I didn't understand, it's really amazing. Yun Xiao. 10,000 alpacas ran through Yun Xiao's heart, and he kept complaining in his heart. Why did he make a shocked expression? This makes him look stupid. Boss, how much is this pill? Ah Fei asked. Yun Xiao slowly stretched out 3 fingers. Not expensive, only 30,000 taels for one bottle. This price is really very cheap among Yun Xiao's products that cost millions of dollars. There are 3 small pills in a bottle, which only costs 10,000 taels for one pill. For people who have that need, it is simply a necessity, and they are willing to spend money on it no matter how expensive it is. Hearing this, Ah Fei breathed a sigh of relief. It's really not expensive. He thought this kind of thing would cost several million taels, but he didn't expect it to cost only 30,000 taels. Haha, I wonder how many bottles Boss Ah Fei needs. Yun Xiao rubbed his hands excitedly. Ah Fei thought for a while and stretched out 5 fingers. Seeing this, Yun Xiao was immediately excited. 500 bottles. Boss Ah Fei is generous. 30,000 per bottle, 500 bottles is 15 million. You know, this is just the beginning. When Ah Fei makes the name of the blue pills known, he will definitely come to him to buy more pills. Yun Xiao has begun to imagine that he doesn't need to do anything in the future, lying in the store counting money every day. He, this is life. Just when Yun Xiao was imagining the future, Ah Fei's words brought him back to reality. Boss, I want 5 bottles. Ah Fei said. Yun Xiao suddenly said excitedly, Mr. Duo. Say it again, you want Duo how many bottles? 5 bottles, I want to buy 5 bottles. Seeing Yun Xiao's excitement, Ah Fei swallowed his saliva and whispered. Yun Xiao was so angry that he couldn't speak for a while. 5 bottles is really a big deal. Buying so much at one time, are you going to die? After a long time, he said in a deep voice, how much do you plan to sell it to others? Of course it's 30,000 taels, after all, I bought it from you for 30,000 taels. Ah Fei said. Yun Xiao looked at Ah Fei's innocent look and sighed. He took back his previous evaluation of Ah Fei. He originally thought that Ah Fei was here to make a profit, but he didn't expect that he was just an errand boy. No, even if he was an errand boy, he still had to pay for the errand. Ah Fei, do you want to make money? Yun Xiao asked suddenly. Hearing this, Ah Fei was immediately excited and said, yes. Boss, I want to make money. I have a way to make money here, do you want to know? Yun Xiao coaxed. Of course I do, boss, I want to know. Quote, seeing Ah Fei's excitement, Yun Xiao nodded with satisfaction. He pointed to the blue pills on the table and said, this bottle is 30,000 taels, right? Ah Fei nodded obediently, yes, it's 30,000 taels. You bought it from me for 30,000 taels, and you can sell it to others for 100,000 taels. Hearing Yun Xiao's words, Ah Fei opened his mouth in shock. Is there such a thing? He looked at Yun Xiao with admiration. He is worthy of being the boss. He is smart. But then, Ah Fei hesitated again, boss, isn't this a bit unscrupulous? Conscience. How much is conscience worth? You have to know that making money is more important than anything else, and my stuff is really effective, not fake medicine, it's just a little expensive, they can choose not to buy it if they think it's expensive. Quote. Boss is right, conscience is worthless, and I'm not a human being, I don't have a conscience at all. Ah Fei said excitedly. Hearing this, Yun Xiao's mouth twitched. He didn't expect that Ah Fei would draw inferences from one example. Looking at Ah Fei's enthusiastic look, Yun Xiao felt uneasy for some reason. After hesitating for a while, he still said, well, in fact, doing business still requires conscience. Yun Xiao was really afraid that Ah Fei would do something against his conscience, such as breaking a pill into 3 pieces to sell in order to reduce costs. Yun Xiao stood up, patted Ah Fei on the shoulder, and said earnestly, Ah Fei, you have to know that you can make money again if you lose it, but if you lose your conscience. Before Yun Xiao finished speaking, Ah Fei interrupted excitedly, I know this. Lord Black Zetsu told me before. If you lose your conscience, you can earn more. Yun Xiao. No wonder Black Zetsu can make the company bigger and bigger. It turns out that he has no conscience for a long time, but think about it, as a villain in Naruto, it would be strange for Black Zetsu to have a conscience. But what Yun Xiao didn't know was that Black Zetsu secretly asked White Zetsu to set up a black material organization to investigate other people's black materials and secrets in the ninja world. These black materials are either sold to others at a high price, or the parties involved are found and blackmailed for profit. If you are in a high position or have a little money at home, then you will definitely be monitored by countless White Zetsu in secret 24 hours a day. In this case, you just pray that you don't have any black material discovered by them, otherwise these White Zetsu will come to your door to blackmail you. If you suddenly see a White Zetsu at home, holding a photo stone in his hand and looking at you with a smile, don't panic, and be prepared for a big loss in your heart. Because the White Zetsu will take the black material of the person concerned and ask for a huge hush money from the person concerned. And the amount of money asked is determined according to the impact of the black material on the person concerned. The greater the impact, the higher the hush money to be paid, but this money will not exceed the ability of the person concerned. Those people can only tacitly accept and choose to spend money to avoid disaster. Of course, not everyone is willing to pay this hush money. Some people will choose to kill the White Zetsu and snatch the photo stone in his hand after knowing that their secrets have been exposed. But it is useless, because even if one White Zetsu dies, there will be thousands of White Zetsu troops standing up. These White Zetsu will spread the secrets of the parties involved, making it known to the whole ninja world, and the parties involved will be in big trouble. Of course, this is not the end. Because a White Zetsu employee was killed while at work, the Black Zetsu boss will certainly not sit idly by. At this time, the company's gold medal thugs, members of the Akatsuki organization, will come to ask for an explanation. After the Akatsuki organization takes action, the parties involved will have their families broken up at the least, or even die at the worst. First blackmail and then extortion. If it doesn't work, send thugs to forcibly collect the money. Black Zetsu has developed this matter into a perfect industrial chain. Now, those powerful people in the ninja world, after hearing about Ninja World All-Knowing Service Company, Limited, all change color and are terrified, because this company has become the representative of the evil forces in the ninja world. As long as they are powerful people, whether they are the cage of the major ninja villages or the daimyo of the major countries, they have almost all been caught by the White Zetsu. For this, they can only pray silently in their hearts that they will never be caught by the White Zetsu, otherwise they will lose money to avoid disaster. As the boss behind all this, Black Zetsu, every business he does is a conscienceless business. As a little follower beside Black Zetsu, Ah Fei has learned the essence of Black Zetsu through long-term following. Seeing Ah Fei's excitement and dancing, Yun Xiao couldn't help but twitch his mouth slightly, and for a moment he didn't know what to say. At first, Yun Xiao felt that Ah Fei knew nothing about making money, so he felt pity for him and planned to give him some tips and suggestions so that he would not be deceived and suffer heavy losses in the treacherous business world in the future. But Yun Xiao's suggestion made Ah Fei understand the essence of making money in an instant. He is indeed Black Zetsu's capable general. As expected, the upper beam is not straight and the lower beam is crooked. Yun Xiao thought to himself, and the future scene of Ah Fei turning into a cunning and treacherous businessman seemed to appear in front of him. Thinking of this, Yun Xiao suddenly sighed, "As long as you like it." After repeated consideration, Yun Xiao really couldn't think of a suitable rhetoric to persuade Ah Fei, and finally gave up the idea of persuading Ah Fei. Everyone has his own ambitions. Maybe Ah Fei is born to be a treacherous businessman. As for the future, whether Ah Fei has a conscience as a businessman can only be left to fate. After all, Yun Xiao is just a small supplier, and the dealer's affairs have nothing to do with him. "Boss Ah Fei, how many bottles do you plan to take now?" Yun Xiao said happily. Seeing Yun Xiao's expression change so quickly, Ah Fei couldn't help but be stunned, and it took a long time to come back to his senses. He thought for a while, estimated the money and property he had on hand, and then said, "Boss, give me 300 bottles first, so I can see how effective the medicine is." "Okay, the quality of our batch of goods is it's great. Once you use it once, you will definitely need to buy it again. Just wait for this drug to become a hit," Yun Xiao said, patting his chest hard as a guarantee. Hearing Yun Xiao's words, Ah Fei suddenly became excited and quickly responded, "Boss, if the sales are good, I will definitely come again to purchase goods." "Haha, I look forward to seeing you again, Boss Ah Fei," Yun Xiao said with a smile on his face, and then turned around and started to get busy at the counter. I saw him carefully taking out the blue pills one by one, and it took Yun Xiao a lot of time to take out the 300 bottles. Not only that, Yun Xiao also took out a few exquisite bags to put the pills in, and then enthusiastically handed the bags to Ah Fei. "Boss Ah Fei, 300 bottles, how much do you want?" However, Ah Fei waved his hand and replied generously, "No, I absolutely trust you, boss." After saying that, Ah Fei reached out to take the bags, and at the same time took out a storage scroll from his arms and handed it to Yun Xiao without hesitation. Seeing Ah Fei so decisive, Yun Xiao couldn't help laughing and sincerely praised, "Haha, Boss Ah Fei is really a straightforward person. I wish you a prosperous business and a lot of money, and strive to overthrow Black Zetsu's company within 3 years." Hearing this, Ah Fei's eyes suddenly lit up, and he said excitedly, "Yes, I already have a way to make money now, so I don't need to work for Lord Black Zetsu. I don't want to be an employee, I want to start my own business and be a boss." Quote. That's right, there is no future in working. 3 years of working is nothing. It's better to start your own business and become a boss. Recalling his experience in his previous life, Yun Xiao couldn't help but sigh. At that time, he was young and energetic. After being a social animal for a few years, he felt that working had no future. So he resolutely quit the job that seemed stable but actually had no room for development and embarked on the road of entrepreneurship. With Yun Xiao's unremitting efforts, he successfully went bankrupt. Not only did he lose all his savings, but he also owed a huge debt. He could only honestly return to the workplace to continue working to pay off his debts. After hearing Yun Xiao's words, Ah Fei's heart was like a storm, and he couldn't calm down for a long time. At this moment, his mind was completely occupied by Yun Xiao's words, "Within 3 years, defeat Black Zetsu," and he kept echoing this sentence, which made his blood boil and his fighting spirit high. "Boss, don't worry, Ah Fei, will go all out and live up to your expectations. I will definitely build a company that is larger than Black Zetsu's company." Ah Fei's face flushed and he shouted excitedly. Yun Xiao couldn't help but recall his miserable working life in his previous life. The days when he worked hard all day but could only barely make a living made him feel a chill rising from his spine when he recalled it. He looked at the ambitious Ah Fei in front of him, and felt a lot of emotion in his heart, as if he saw the same dream and high-spirited self in the past. At that time, he was also full of ambition, but it was a pity that he lost everything later. "Ah Fei, listen to my advice. If you really want to do business, don't go to work. After doing business, your horizons will definitely be improved, and your confidence will not be different, really. Yun Xiao said earnestly. I understand, boss. I will quit my job and go out to work alone when I go back. Ah Fei said seriously. Yun Xiao nodded with satisfaction, but he didn't say the next sentence. You can't owe so much money if you work. However, deep down, he didn't think Ah Fei would face bankruptcy. After all, the goods sold by Ah Fei all come from him. You know, the products of the system must be fine. Once the blue pills produced by the system are put on the market, Ah Fei will definitely usher in a huge source of wealth and make a lot of money. Boss, I'll leave now. Just wait for me to become the richest man in the ninja world. Ah Fei said excitedly. Yun Xiao smiled and nodded, encouraging, come on, I believe you can do it. Just as Ah Fei turned around and prepared to leave, Yun Xiao suddenly had a thought in his mind, and hurriedly called out to Ah Fei, wait a moment, Ah Fei. Upon hearing this, Ah Fei immediately stopped and asked in confusion, what's wrong, boss? Yun Xiao took out 2 boxes of beautifully packaged tea from somewhere, walked to Ah Fei and handed the tea to him. Didn't you like the tea from my hometown before? Here, I'll give you 2 boxes. Ah Fei's hands trembled slightly, and he carefully took the tea, with gratitude flashing in his eyes. It choked up and said, thank you, boss. Thank you so much. In all these years, you are the first person who is willing to give me something. I will never forget this kindness. I will definitely repay you when I become rich in the future. Haha, work hard, and look forward to the day when you become the richest man. Yun Xiao said with a smile. Yeah, Ah Fei nodded seriously, and finally, it bowed deeply to Yun Xiao, and then turned and left. Yun Xiao stood quietly at the door, following Ah Fei's figure as he walked away until he completely disappeared from his sight. At this time, he sighed. As soon as I saw this kid Ah Fei, I knew that he would have a promising future. So Yun Xiao wanted to build a good relationship with Ah Fei in advance, so he gave him 2 boxes of tea. However, he did not expect that the 2 boxes of tea he gave away casually would make the other party so moved. The capital of the Fire Nation. Lord Ah Fei, you are finally back. The white Zetsu rushed up and surrounded Ah Fei. Master Ah Fei, what are you doing? One of the white Zetsu pointed at the bulging bags in Ah Fei's hand and asked curiously. As he asked the question, the other white Zetsu also cast curious eyes and stared at the bags in Ah Fei's hand. Seeing the curious eyes of the crowd, Ah Fei's expression suddenly became serious. Everyone, I now have a way to make money. The risk is a little big, but the profit is very high. As the saying goes, wealth and honor are sought in danger. If you have the guts, follow me. After the matter is done, I promise that I will never treat you unfairly. Hearing Ah Fei's words, a white Zetsu couldn't help asking, Master Ah Fei, is this business really reliable? Will there be any problems? Ah Fei shook his head, I'm not sure, but from the current situation, the chance of making money is still quite high. So, I want to ask everyone here, is there anyone willing to quit their job and follow me? After hearing Ah Fei's words, the white Zetsu stood there in an instant, their faces full of disbelief. They didn't expect that Ah Fei would give up his job as an executive and actually resign to start a business. Seeing their hesitation, Ah Fei didn't force them, if you don't want to, forget it. Just then, suddenly, Bai Zetsu stood up and said, I am willing. Whoever wants to sell this newspaper can sell it. Anyway, I will follow Master Ah Fei. Don't regret it when you become rich. Seeing someone taking the lead, others also responded, even if I sell newspapers for a lifetime, I can't get 50 million to transform my body. It's better to work with Master Ah Fei. That's right, I won't do it anymore. I'm tired of this kind of cowardly life. I want to make a lot of money with Master Ah Fei. After seeing their reactions, Ah Fei secretly rejoiced in his heart. These guys are still as easy to fool as always. It nodded with satisfaction, in that case, you can follow me. As he said, Ah Fei walked towards the hotel booked by the fat man. It wanted to sell its products to the buyers. Success or failure depended on this. Seeing this, many Bai Zetsu followed Ah Fei closely without hesitation, like a group of loyal followers. You know, these white Zetsu were originally scattered around the land of fire, selling newspapers and leading a peaceful and regular life. However, at this moment, they were all successfully lured away by Ah Fei. If Black Zetsu knew about this, he would be furious. After all, this is not the first time that Afei has incited the white Zetsu to escape. Last time, Afei took them and ran away with the money. Now he is using the same trick again, but this time he used illusory promises to paint a pie in the sky for Black Zetsu's employees and easily fooled his employees away. Without these grassroots employees, Black Zetsu will definitely have a headache for a while. After all, which white Zetsu would be willing to sell newspapers at the grassroots level? I am afraid that no matter how much Black Zetsu coerces and lures, it will be difficult for those white Zetsu to agree to sell newspapers. It must be said that Afei is really good at agitating and mobilizing people's emotions. Perhaps, this is the charm of Afei's personality. Outside the hotel, Master Afei, is the seller you mentioned here? Yi Baiju asked curiously. Yes, this fat man is a fool with a lot of money. Afei said, you just wait for my good news outside. After that, Afei walked straight into the hotel. Do you think Master Afei can succeed? Of course, Master Afei was a senior executive of the company before. Although he has resigned now, his vision is still there. That's right, seeing that Master Afei is so confident, let's wait and follow him to eat and drink spicy food. Inside the hotel, the fat man sat on the sofa, restless. Why hasn't Afei come back for so long? I hope this company must have this kind of thing. My happiness in the second half of my life depends on it. As time passed, the fat man became more and more uneasy and fidgety. At this moment, Afei's voice suddenly came from outside the door, I'm back. Hearing this, the originally listless fat man instantly became energetic. He jumped up from the sofa, rushed to the door in 2 steps, quickly reached out to turn the door handle, and warmly welcomed Afei into the room. It's hard to imagine that a fat man's movements are so sensitive and fast. Hey, Master Afei, you are finally here. The flowers I've been waiting for are almost withered. The fat man said expectantly. Master Afei, I wonder if your company has what I want. Afei sat leisurely on the sofa, looking at the excited fat man, and said slowly, I'm really sorry, Wanshatong Company doesn't have what you want. Hearing Afei's words, the light that had just ignited in the fat man's eyes dimmed in an instant, and the whole person seemed to have lost his spirit like a ghost. He muttered to himself, is that so? Just when the fat man was in despair, Afei suddenly changed his words, but, although Wanshatong Company can't find what you want, I just happen to have it in my hand. The fat man, who had originally lowered his head, suddenly raised his head, his face full of disbelief and uncontrollable ecstasy. Master Afei, are you telling the truth? The sudden surprise left the fat man no time to think about the contradiction in Afei's words. He only knew that his second brother who had died for many years was saved. Of course it's true. Afei took out a bottle of blue pills from his arms and put it on the table. The fat man widened his eyes and stared at the bottle of blue pills on the table curiously, his eyes full of doubts and expectations. After a while, he came back to his senses and asked stutteringly, Master Afei, is this what I want? To be honest, he couldn't believe that these few small pills would have such magical effects, which could cure his second brother and restore his masculinity. After hearing the fat man's question, Afei did not rush to respond, but picked up a pack of cigarettes on the table, then slowly took out a cigarette and clamped it between his fingers. Then, Afei lit the cigarette butt skillfully, took a deep puff, and then slowly exhaled a cloud of thick smoke. After all this was done, it smiled and said, whether it works or not, you will know if you try it. However, let me make it clear first, the price of this bottle is not cheap. The fat man waved his hand casually with a nonchalant look on his face, and said anxiously, Master Afei, I lack everything except money. You should tell me how to use this quickly, right? Seeing the fat man's rich appearance, Afei's mouth curled up, just take 1 pill beforehand. So simple. As he spoke, he could not wait to quickly open the bottle, took out a small blue pill from it, and stuffed it into his mouth without hesitation. However, just as the pill entered his stomach, a strange warm current suddenly flowed through every corner of his body. In the blink of an eye, his lower abdomen began to heat up, and his whole body instantly became hot and unbearable. At this moment, the fat man's second brother, who had been in a deep sleep, suddenly woke up. The fat man felt the changes in his body and opened his mouth in disbelief. This feeling. I haven't experienced it for many years. It was as if a surging force was flowing towards his second brother, which made the fat man excited. He felt that every cell in his second brother was full of energy. If he didn't release this excess power, he would probably explode and die. Thinking of this, the fat man stood up suddenly and rushed out of the hotel like an arrow from a string. Master A Fei, wait for me here first. I'll be back soon. The fat man's voice came from outside. Oh my, is the effect so good? A Fei murmured. Its eyes were involuntarily attracted by the opened blue pill on the table. The extremely excited look of the fat man at that time instantly emerged in his mind. Driven by curiosity, it picked up a pill and put it in its hand. I wonder what it feels like after taking it. A Fei was full of curiosity about what effect this medicine could bring to it. So it took advantage of the fact that no one was around and quickly stuffed the blue pill into its mouth. It seems that there is no change. But just when A Fei was puzzled, a sudden feeling of heat suddenly hit him, like a surging heat wave sweeping across his body. In an instant, A Fei felt extremely comfortable all over, and couldn't help but exclaimed, "Wow, this feeling is so wonderful." Feeling the warmth of his body, A Fei was very excited. After being a white Zetsu for so many years, this was the first time he felt warm. He, this feeling is so cool. He. A Fei's face flushed, and he kept laughing. This feeling is like being drugged, not like, but drugged. It's just that it's drugged by itself. But not long after, A Fei felt that his body was getting hotter and hotter. Why is it so hot? A Fei couldn't help but groan in pain and began to roll on the ground uncomfortably. His originally white skin has now turned red, as if it was roasted. Woo, I will never take medicine again. A Fei screamed. I feel like I'm going to die of heat. Just when A Fei was in despair, he suddenly remembered that there was water in the toilet. Thinking of this, A Fei gritted his teeth, struggled to get up from the ground with all his strength, and then staggered towards the bathroom. After entering the bathroom, he quickly filled the bathtub with cold water, and then jumped into the bathtub without hesitation. Zzz. After A Fei jumped into the bathtub, it was like hot iron put into water, and steam suddenly rose from the bathtub. After an unknown amount of time, A Fei's skin returned from red to white. He leaned limply against the bathtub. I will never take pills again. I almost died here. Outside the hotel, hearing the noise in the house, many white Jews looked at each other, with strange expressions on their faces. Did you hear the screams from Master A Fei just now? Well, I think I did hear a little noise. At this time, a white Zetsu came over and interrupted. Do you think Master A Fei is doing some unknown business? The white Zetsu next to him couldn't help but feel puzzled when he heard this, and hurriedly asked, what business? Is it something shameful? The white Zetsu who spoke earlier smiled mysteriously and answered in a low voice, hey, it's PY business. The other white Zetsu were even more confused after hearing this, and asked one after another, what is PY business? Why have we never heard of this word? The white Zetsu who spoke earlier carefully took out a yellowed book from his arms, and the other white Zetsu saw this and gathered around curiously. They looked closely and saw that the cover of the book was printed with 4 eye-catching words, Intimate Paradise. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.